Hello, sisters and brothers. I hope you are doing well. It is I, your DJ, storyteller, troopersjp, and welcome to VtM, your all-vampire radio station where you can have your time of 1970s, kindred joy and pain. Welcome to episode 4 of our mini-series, Motor City Hollow Crown, and I am happy that you are all here to join us. Yes, it is November the 2nd, 1973, and got some things to think about with you all here today. At the moment, one of our players is being kidnapped and is not currently present, but that player, April Raygun, asked me a question. And that question was, you see, we've got a map. You may not realize it, but we do. We have a map, and that map, we have a couple of maps actually that I have acquired through my own special means and provided to my players, and one of which is a breakdown of where different races live in Detroit 1973. And April said, wait, where are the Asian people on this map? Today, we'll have an answer to that question. I think the episode titles are going to be called Chinatown. So, I just wanted to give you a bit of a heads up about something, and that is, there have been Chinese people in Detroit since, at least on record, 1872. Detroit historically has been a very important place. It's exceptionally diverse and important for many, many reasons. Now, our game is set in 1973, but if you move forward 10 years, Vincent Chin was murdered in a racist hate crime in Detroit, which helped spark, really give an important forward momentum to the Asian American rights movement on the East Coast especially. So, you have to know that the Detroit that we are sitting in right now in our game is a Detroit that has so much historical importance. It's a Detroit that matters. It has a Detroit whose people have been forgotten, cast aside, mistreated. But this is our game. And in our game, a plucky group of Primogen, I like to say plucky because that makes them seem like they're not evil. You know, that plucky group of Primogen have, come together to see if they can perhaps change history. The World of Darkness from the second edition, pre-revised, is an alternate reality, and we are going to sit in this alternate reality tonight as our kindred have a dead body on their hands in a trunk of a car and forces arrayed against them. Well, sit back, cats and kittens. It's November the 2nd, an election is coming, and we have got kindred with some concern. We'll catch you after our credits. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to episode 4, session 4 of Motor City Hollow Crown, with an exciting group of Primogen and a brand new prince, and some of my favorite. I'm a little excited for tonight. They are perhaps worried about it, but I don't know why they should be, because I think everything is gonna be something. So that for me is very exciting. Look, okay, so here's what it is. I just like to like poke a little bit. Just a little. Thank you for being here. I want to thank everyone who's here, who's live, and who's been watching on YouTube as well. Much appreciated. Having you here makes all the difference. Here on the Foxhole, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for those who have left comments. Thank you for those who have done all the lovely things that you have done. So thank you for being here. It is your presence that makes doing this show, we're here for you. So I want to say, I want to give a quick check. Yeah. This comment is about our show, but it's not really useful. Somebody who noted that I look younger than this person, but it's because I'm 51. I had my birthday, so but nobody knows that's because you know.
Happy
Black don't crack.
birthday.
Oh no, it's a black
It's
don't
a
crack. It's fine.
fact.
It's a fact. It's a fact. I think
Kid
it's
me. Does this look like it's
in,
kicking 40 in the door? It does not.
nope. It does not. It does not. Okay, so thank you. You can support us by being here, by watching the show, by liking and subscribing on the YouTube, giving a comment. You can retweet our going live tweet. You can give bits and tips, and if you do, I'll read out those bits and tips messages at the end. You can join our Patreon at Academic Foxhole. All of those funds go to help pay for our cast or music or art. You can, let me see, we have a special sponsorship tier, which is $200, which will pay for 4 cast members for 1 week. And if you do that, you get a special shout out and like radio ad that I make for you all and a special spot in our credits. I think that is all of our pre stuff. So I'm going to just bring it over to our players to introduce themselves because they're super awesome and I love them. So I'm going to ask them to introduce who they are, who they're playing, and if they would tell me the answer to this question. What did you advocate doing with the body in the trunk of the car? That would be the question that I want to ask, and I want to start with Vin.
Oh my gosh, hi. Hey guys, I'm Vin at VinVoxVA on Twitter. I'll be playing Charlotte Lottie Hughes, Samitsi Primogen. And what Lottie would suggest, burn the body, just dispose of it. Little fire, little, not us, but a ghoul or someone else trusted who can incinerate it for us.
Just burn it. That's fair. That's fair. Prince, not the Prince, but Prince Dimples and Dice Prince. Who are you? Who are you playing? And what did your character recommend doing about that body?
Hello, everyone. I'm Prince, also known as Zipples and Dice around the internet. I'm a he, him. I am playing Reverend Luther Cornelius Joseph Lasombra. What he suggested doing to the body was very easy. I have ashes to ashes. I can just take care of it and just make the body go away.
Okay, I'm gonna just note something. It's a really small little thing I'm noting. It feels to me like we have a bit of a competition, right? We have Lottie who's like, I've got ghouls who can take care of it. And you're like, interesting. I can just disintegrate it with my own powers. I like the friendly camaraderie between us. Now, the Prince, Werewolf, how about you? Who are you? Who are you playing? And as the Prince, what do you think should be done with that body?
Hi, I'm Nordine Likadir, also known as Werewolf Feels. My pronouns are he, him, and so is my character's pronouns. Kasim, the Prince of Detroit. Still in shock that happened. As for what to do with this body, I don't particularly care. I think, Luther's got a good idea in turning it to ashes and being done with it, but I'm more concerned about the notepad he had on him, the
Ah,
car,
uh-huh.
that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
let everyone take care of the body. I'll take care of the stuff on the body and dump
Mm-hmm.
the car uh, into the local body of water.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I love it so much. I have, by the way, everybody in chat, also cast, I have a special, when we do our break, I don't know when we're going to do it. We might do it early. I cannot say. I'll know when it happens. I've got a video for you all to watch during our break. Yep, I've got a video for you all to watch. It's a video from 1965, and you might find it interesting. It might be irrelevant or not. I don't know, but I do have it. It's not Blackula because that's from 1972, but I do have relevant things. Look, it's an actual video, so it can't be creepy. So I feel like we have a couple of things to do. I think the very first thing we should do is roll your rouse checks.
Happily.
Our good Reverend, Hunger 3.
I will also roll that special secret spell rouse. So that's one success.
Mm-hmm.
Succeeded on both.
I'm only at 100 tonight. This is great. Love that for me.
Mm-hmm. We have, by the way, a nameplate situation that I have to fix. Give me one moment. I need. Where's my nameplate? I need. One, two, 1, 3, 4, 2, 2, 2. Nope, that's not you. Hold on. Let me find you. Aha, aha, aha. Yep. I got it. I need 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I missing a nameplate? 1, 2, 3, 4. I am. I'm missing one nameplate. Hold on. Where are you? Nameplate 4. Nameplate 3. There you are. Okay. Got you. Right. Okay. I found it. Fixing the nameplate. Give me one. I'm fixing it. Don't want nameplates to be wrong. Wrong one. That's 2. Here's 1. Up. Right. Yes. Just. Wait. 2 and 1. What? Haha! Fixed. Fixed it. It's all good. More or less. There we go. Fixed. Fixed it. Also, when we go to our map screen, because we're going to be using our map screen because reasons, I'll fix it there as well. Oh, wait, hold on. Somebody's invisible.
Map screen?
Yeah, map screen.
I knew it was a combat. I knew it.
I didn't say it was a combat. I just said we have to go to the map screen for reasons that are important. I just lost. I lost somebody.
I think you lost
I lose
me.
you? I
Yeah,
did
you
lose
lost
you.
me.
Hold on. I lost you. But I'm going to get you back. So don't even worry about it. So now, you have all roused. That's not what I wanted. I want this. You have all roused. Della, you are.
You mean April's character, Della?
No. I'm just trying to find you. Right. Right. I just need to rename you with different names, and then I will know everything there is to know in the world, and then everything will be fine. 1, 3,
I'm laughing
2.
because I've done this exact thing.
Yep.
So it's funny.
Yes. You know. You know what I'm feeling like? I know what it is. I think I know what it is. I think it is this. Uh, okay, so anyway, fixed it. That said, okay. You all roused. Some of you have hunger, some of you have less hunger. Before we find out about that, if you're going to hunt or not tonight, you have other things to do on this November the 2nd. There are a couple of other things I just need to take care of. You know, a little bit of business, background business. Let's do the one that's less full of menace. So, body, you wanted to check out the notepad, what's on it,
Mm-hmm.
what's in the car. I think that's an investigation roll.
Happily. I do remember one thing in that there was the single
Mhm.
word Sabat underlined
Mm-hmm.
on the
Mm-hmm.
first page of that notepad.
That is correct.
Would you prefer wits or intelligence investigation? Or something else? Resolve?
Well, you have time, right? Like, it's not like you were rushed. So you can do either one. Intelligence if you're taking more time, wits for if you're taking a shorter amount of time. It's up to you.
I will happily take intelligence then.
And that's going to represent sort of really sort of taking time to sort of go through with a bit of a fine-tooth comb.
And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'll even activate heightened senses, honestly, to see if there's
good.
something I'm missing. I want as close a macro look as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm actually going to re-roll some of those dice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, 2, 3.
Can re-roll 3. Oh
6
gosh.
successes.
Well. That's a very good number. I'm gonna take this. You said macro, right? So I'm gonna take this to mean something slightly larger, since you were doing some other work as well. I'll tell you a couple of things about this undercover police officer. There are some things to note. One, the car itself is pretty clean of any kinds of obvious, there's no like cheeseburger wrappers in the car, because vampire after all. There is, however, a map, a city, like a street map. And the street map itself has got an X for the sewer entrances. It has an X for the old Elysium, which was in a little bit. It was like in uh, a really fancy riverfront restaurant, right? That had like it was right there on the riverfront. It was a very sort of upscale, sort of black tie space. And that place has an X on it, the old Elysium, where, where our old prince used to hold court. And that one had an X on it. And then there's also an X on the sewer in different ink, right? It looks to you, with 6 successes, as if he were given instructions on where the the Elysium would be, and then it was not there. And so he had done some kind of research to find out where it might be. And the sewers, now I have to think about who all has been here and when. The Reverend's Church would have an X on it. The sewers would have an X on it. Kasim, you came after everybody left.
No, I came
And
1 year before.
1 year before, but you had not established some kind of large space at that point in time.
Yes, this is true.
Some kind of large congregating space. And Lottie, you have been here. Were you here when the old prince was here, or did you come in after?
I think she came in with the new regime, so no.
No. So there's no marking for your space, but the prince's, the Reverend's church is marked. The sewers are marked. There's no marking for you. There would also be, let's see, who else would be marked? Elena Ochoa, where she has her sanctum, is pretty well hidden, and it's unlikely there would have been an Elysium there, so that place would not have been marked. There would have been a bar marked, bar on the west side with a question mark, and that bar, if you all know Roscoe, that's one of the places that Roscoe sort of hangs out. It's one of those old neighborhood bars. You know, the kind that is usually quite long and narrow and dark and like opens up at like 10 in the morning, and there are people drinking there all day in the neighborhood. But if you're not from the neighborhood, you don't go in that bar. And the alcohol's cheap. There's probably one sad pool table right on the side, and it probably serves pretzels, right? But it's one of those kind of places that there was a time, not so much anymore, but there was a time when like every neighborhood would have their own bar, right? That's when everyone drank a lot more, and you'd have like on that street, like there's all just sorts of neighborhood bars, and there is a neighborhood bar that Roscoe would frequent. That's, if you want to find Roscoe, that you have to go to that small bar. And the thing is, that's marked, but there's a little note saying probably not too small, right? It's like probably not a good spot where that Elysium might be found. Let me see, who else would probably be a good candidate? Because they're guessing, right? It's a bit of a guess of who's got enough power that maybe you would have an Elysium at one of the places that they would hang. Most of the other people are not big enough. So in this map, what you have are likely places where an Elysium might be taking place under the new space. And it looks to you as if he spent some time trying to figure out where this Elysium would be. Your guess is that wherever he came from was not from within, was not from inside the city. The map book that he has is like there's like a street map of Detroit, but he also has like a map of Michigan, the state itself. So your guess is wherever he came from might have been within the state, or perhaps nearby enough. Don't get the sense, you don't have maps from lots of other places, so you don't think that he came from very, very far away. You think wherever he came from was probably close enough. Also, he drove, right? So he's not going to be driving overnight anyway. So it's going to be within a pretty decent. Also, he didn't show up super late. Your Elysium wasn't really early, but he couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 hours away, probably. Like your guess, since your Elysium was a little bit late in the evening, but he's not going to be driving. He didn't have a ghoul with him, so he's not going to be driving during the day, obviously, right? So you're thinking wherever he came from was probably 4 or 5 hours away, most likely, maybe 6 tops from about when you had your Elysium. So that's like a bit of a thought about that. The notepad has got a series of notes there are a couple of things about the notepad itself that you can sort of ascertain with that 6 successes. The handwriting is not in a good state, and there's some blood on the notebook. You're going to guess that he took out the notebook after he was attacked and thrown in the trunk. That whoever threw him in there figured he was probably dead. He took out the notebook and was able to scrawl Sabat underlined as one of the last things he did in the notebook. Inside the notebook, there are profiles, let's say, of, I don't know. I have to just guess who might, there might be profiles of Della. There might be profiles of the Reverend. There might be profiles of, gosh, important kindred, but all of whom were present before the change in regime. I would also note, and this is going to give you a slightly different thought about how long Baptiste had been here. So there are notes on Della, right? Been here a long time in the sewers, right? N, no actual word, no clan is ever actually spelled out, right, in these notes, just in case. Was told that that the most likely candidate would have been, and sort of names sort of another Nos, one of the others, probably Gargoyle, was like most likely to be the new Primogen, but was not, right? Notes Luther saying, Luther, as one of the shadows, is not necessarily to be trusted, but was a good council member and maybe the person to reason with or to approach behind the scenes. And these notes, well, I will get to that. Roscoe, irascible, much smarter than he lets on, much stronger than he lets on, very old, quite powerful, never included in council affairs before because of his falling out with Klaus, who, those of you who had been here long enough would know that Klaus was the Bruja Primogen, had come from Europe, was a German. He came in the 40s, took over, just came over in the 40s. Good friends with our prince. And I don't know what that face is. Anyhow, a very strong jaw, big, muscular, kind of creepy haircut,
Blonde by any chance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are you kidding? Absolutely. Blue-eyed, blonde, still had a pretty strong German accent. He came in, 44, 45, was welcomed in onto the council, took over the Bruja Parisian ship there for the old prince's council, good old Kurt Whitney. And Roscoe and Klaus did not get along very well. They had a very public falling out. Who's to say what that was about? Probably lots of things. And Roscoe and his sort of the Bruja who were not Aryan Übermensch, sort of kind of pulled back from the Primogen Council. And so it sort of notes, right, Roscoe sort of stopped participating in Elysiums, but do not underestimate him. He's quite strong and powerful. Now, what's interesting to you is, because you got a 6, is that it seems as if these notes are dictation, right? That he's dictating information he's getting from someone else. Elena Ochoa, quiet, knows a lot about the secrets of the city. She has many boons that people owe her. That makes her dangerous. Maybe she doesn't need to stay in Detroit if that could be arranged. Uh-huh. Toward the darkness, ... maybe? And then it says, probably not. Mrs. Whitney says she's too trashy. On the other hand, it seems the kindred who stayed are all somewhat trashy. So check out the darkness, right? So those were sort of like a series of notes that seem to be dictation from someone else. And then there are a couple other sets of notes. And those notes say, I'm looking. Dev, it doesn't seem, is the Primogen for the Banu Hakim, but the newcomer, Kasim, is. Report back that information. There's a new Banu Hakim Sheriff, Fatima. Send that information back. And this now, there's the writing style and the prose style seems different. So this seems like notes have been taken sort of more recently. It says, the prince, ... Ronald Gaines? Question mark? Who is that? Question mark. Ask KW. Seems to be a writer? Question mark? Okay. And then it says Davis, GR? Question mark. And it says they seem to have a representative for all of those who don't have enough for a Primogen. That is strange. How amateur. Report back. So it seems to you as if he's probably been here a couple of days trying to suss out who's been here, who's not been here. I suppose it would also say, have successfully avoided detection, will make my entrance at the Elysium. And then a couple more pages says, the prince was killed tonight. That is disconcerting. It seems the second eye is still operating in Detroit. We'll have to hold off a bit longer. But ... This person likes to use ... ellipses quite a lot. I know I was only tasked with infiltrating. But ... If the prince is dead ... I can be prince. I am a blue blood after all. They would surely accept me as their prince with open arms. I mean, who else would lead them? They've got no one of quality here. I'll just tell them I have connections, and they will surely vote me in. KW will be very impressed. And maybe I will get a very large, fat boon.
I rifle through it, and I lick my finger and rifle through it, and then I rip each page that a profile appears, and I uh hand deliver like Luther's profile, and I
Mm,
hand deliver Lottie's. Because there's nothing. I hand over Lottie a blank page,
mm,
and I hand over Davis's profile, Della's profile.
mm.
I hold on to mine, and I say, I think we have confirmation that
I
Whitney
will
seeks
note.
to reclaim this city.
I will note that there are quite a few of the vampires that you know who are not in there, and it seems that. How do I put this? Oh, Luther would know. Some of you who've been there a long time would know. Uh, yeah, Lottie came in later, right? But um, a lot of the vampires who have stayed were not vampires that Whitney cared about or thought about. Maybe saw once a year at an Elysium and did not pay attention to or really even look at in any kind of way. So there are probably some pre-existing vampires that are not mentioned because he did not ever care about them, and so therefore did not share that information. Were Whitney behind this, which we can't really confirm, even though he was, um, obviously, but did not pass on that information because those vampires were beneath his notice, I suppose is the best way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, Luther looking over this is just like, makes sense to me. Doesn't say that out loud, but it
Yeah.
does. They're not important enough to worry about.
Kasim takes no offense to the idea that he was just the newcomer. I mean, he was.
And
It's fun.
yeah. And it looks to you from this that his job was not to become prince, that was him deciding to go off on his own, that he was mostly supposed to just be here and monitor what is happening.
Ventru gonna Ventru.
Yeah, look, you ask a Venture to go in and not take over if there's an opportunity. I mean, he was a conquistador. Just sitting back is not really his thing. Uh, you know. But I did want to give you one other thing, because you did roll a 6. And the thing that I wanted to give you was a police thing. There was a call to the police about this car there. Because it was street cleaning day and the car hadn't been moved. And so somebody called in that there was a car sitting there on the street on street cleaning day. And you notice that someone from dispatch wrote, "Taken care of, will be towed," but the tow order never was sent in. So it seems as if someone not connected to your stress group, like somebody small that you wouldn't be paying attention to if you were in all of that sort of stress Nichols power network, somebody you could have influence with, made sure the police did not take the car. They did not want that car taken. They said it would be moved soon, but that order never came in.
I place that information and I tuck it in my back pocket.
So, Prince Cassim,
Not
tell us how you're gonna lead us through this situation that we just so happen to find ourselves in.
It's a car and a body. Do you really need some sort of education?
I asked for your expert opinion, since you are both a inspector, policeman, And the prince now.
This body was meant for us to find.
Yes, that seems very obvious to me.
I should probably let chat know what I said.
Yeah, stand by it. But this body was left for us to find by more than one. Someone way deep in the police dispatch issued or said they were going to issue a towing order, but they never actually did. So either our Sabat, the person who killed this person, owns a police officer, a low stakes police officer, or someone in the Second Inquisition wants to play with us. Either one. Clearly, I won't know until I investigate more. Until then, for now, we should play as if we're not aware. So, get rid of the body, get rid of the car, and I will see what I can do about everything else. Also, Luther,
Yes, sir.
increase your protection. If the Sabbat are in town, last time they came up against you, who knows what will happen this time.
I appreciate your concern.
You're welcome. And
Now,
with that, yeah,
please.
go ahead. No.
Please.
And with that, everything that he could take off of Sterling's body, he just places on his person. He resets his glasses, and he reaches into a pocket and pulls out a small badge and slings it on him. And he heads off.
Leaving this corpse here just like this because I could make sure that there's
I know you
nothing
can.
left.
Please just ash it. Send the car into the drink. That's all we need.
Excellent.
I believe this is going to be I think it's deception, is it not? Is it not? Am I right? Am I wrong on that one? Deception?
Or
Because there's a specialization in cover-ups. Subterfuge. Yes, please. Yes. And for the ability to pair with it, there are many things that you can pair with it. Really, there are many things you can pair with the subterfuge to get rid of the body of the car. Most of the car.
We don't have to worry about the getting rid of the body. I got that.
Gosh, knowing you, probably manipulation or charisma subterfuge is probably how you would do that, I imagine. Maybe I'm wrong, and the Reverend would not use charisma or manipulation to subterfuge. I don't know.
So is Luther getting rid of both the body and the car?
I mean, if someone else wants to take care of handling the car, I got the body. This is easy. This is my light work.
Well, if I may, I could possibly get rid of the car, but I would like a small request before you destroy the body.
Are you planning on taking a sip?
No, I don't.
It's not looking all that fresh.
No, no. Just like waves Luther off. I would like to use flesh crafting to duplicate the fingerprints of the body to drive the car off.
Very nice, very nice, very nice. I need to ask you a very important question. Thank you.
I need that.
You found the body on the night of the 1st, pretty late. No, the night after. It was the night after.
No, it was the night
after.
Because
it was the night of the 1st.
Yeah.
He was killed on the 31st. You found the body on the 1st. You found the body pretty early in the evening because you spent the rest of the evening doing other stuff. Do you get rid of the car on the 1st or on the 2nd? When do you get rid of the car? How long do you wait to get rid of the car? Right away? Do you wait? I just need to know timing.
Um, I mean, urgency is key, so probably as soon as possible.
I
Early
I
into the
will
night.
also note that the only reason why you found the car was because Kim, the glasswalker, could smell the worm taint hanging out. You probably would not have found the car otherwise. And the body. So I'm just going to note that one as well. Just a note. But urgent. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Mhm.
Where do you take it? First off, flesh crafting, yes. Yes. I like that very much. Do you need to roll for that?
I do. And if I can get the PDF to work, that'll be nice.
Mm.
I don't have to do anything. I just have to roll a rouse check since it's a non-animated corpse. It's going
I
to
think
disintegrate here in the next few turns.
Oh,
I
nice.
think flesh eaters, fortitude, flesh of marble, does not look like it is in our compendium, which we have, by the way.
I have
Ooh.
this if you need. You're looking for the flesh crafting, yes?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Shell is on page.
And I want to know if you do anything else with this space, with this place where the car was, for the foreseeable future, or no?
That is a good question.
Hmm?
Oh, I said that's a good question. I hadn't figured that out yet. For some reason, Adobe just said no, so I'm looking up the book on my phone.
Oh, that's the
You
guidance
don't
spot,
really
then.
have to make a roll on an unwilling thing, like a dead thing.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything.
Excellent.
It just takes time to do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to rouse?
Yes.
Could I
That's
get
the
a
most
rouse then?
important thing here. It's just
Yeah.
a rouse check.
That's the most important thing. So let me have a rouse check. And, we might have a frozen.
I think Vin's a frozen.
I think we have a frozen. We will note it. I will say, for the record, that Della could. Oof. Della could. Do I have a 3 prepped? I do not think of a 3 prepped. Give me a second. Della could keep bugs out as a watch. Oh, I know how to fix this.
I
can't.
am a man of considerable wealth. I'll put it like that. If we need a bit of eyes, I am very able to get us a few eyes.
Do you want to leave people there exposed just in case? Seems scary.
Well, yeah, because the other option is probably worse, honestly.
Yeah,
I could shadow cast over all of you, but you'd take willpower damage for the time you stand in it. But no one would see you.
Thanks.
I've got my phone in. Just
Hey, this is my trick.
there we go. Just ignore my little happy smiley face, and I'm gonna put I need to be where you are, and you need to be where you are. Perfect. We're in. If you leave people there, it could be compromised.
So wait, who all is here actually with us?
Your Davis is going to go off with Kim, but Kim does want to meet with you all again to talk business, important business. So they're leaving. So you would have
I would ask
Della.
Davis to stay.
Well, this will be for the. She's going to come by the next day, which is today.
I know. You understand my meaning.
I do.
I'm guessing.
I do. I do. I do. Let me roll it because she's got a friend here. That's a 2 successes, 3 successes, which beats you. She says that she will come after she's dropped off Kim.
Okay.
So she'll meet you. By the way, she says that in front of you, our Prince Kasim, and everybody else. She's like, oh, it's cool. But yes, let me ask you this question. Do you want to leave people here in a way that could be dangerous? Or not?
I mean, dangerous to them, not me.
It's up to you.
Prince Kasim, if I may be able to get another frozen
I know.
person.
I know. I was like, what
It's
is
one
happening?
of those nights, isn't
Why?
it?
Why?
Jesus.
All right, let me go find. I just want to make sure. Look, I am here. This is. No, we are live still. We're not live.
No. It's not you.
I know. I think it's the heat. So while we're waiting for them to come back, Davis will say, hey, it's cool, but I gotta go take Kim out. You know, it's like important, but I'll come back. Waha! Wait. Oh, you know what I can do? I got you.
I mean, I can get you if you need. I also do the trick.
Oh, yeah, no. Right now, I got us like this. We'll just have a half of me on the other side, and we're good. Because of, yeah. I got this. We're good. So she says, I gotta go drop Kim off because, like, you know, I gotta escort her back. You know what I mean?
I suppose.
I'll be back. It's cool. And Kim, hey, I think it's the heat, or it's not the heat, it's the humidity. That is what they say.
It's not rotating for you.
It's also sideways.
Well.
Oh, there you go.
Great.
Yes. Ah!
Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. And Kim says, I have gotta talk to my people, but I want to meet with you tomorrow, the day after, to see if we can make a deal about something.
I am willing to work with those who are willing to work with me. As long as we're on the same pages for the same causes, we can make this happen.
We've got assets in Detroit. We want to see if there's some sort of compromise we can make. Also, common enemies.
You're going to have a tough time getting this over with our fellow kindred. They are not always the most accepting of people. Just throwing that out there.
But that's perhaps what we need to negotiate. This.
I am a skilled negotiator.
I love it. I'm here on top of things. Just like that. So this is what happens when you don't build a 3 and a 2. I only built a 5, a 4, and a 1. get them all in there though. And here, 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 and here. Good. Done. Yes. She says, Kasim, she's got her little mohawk. Vin, we see a black box for your camera at the moment. But you'll come in, I know it. She says, I think we need to have some serious negotiations. And she and Davis leaves, and Davis gives you a look, because she made her roll. She gives you a look like, be back. So, let me ask you, for the rest of that evening, you all had plans. I want to know if you want to do anything about this location or not.
Cover-ups ain't my expertise. I tend to have other folks do this sort of work for me. Now, if you need me to call in some of the kind who can help with this sort of thing, then just let me know. But otherwise, I'll leave this up to our prince and his resources within the authorities.
What, to keep an eye on this place?
To do whatever it is that you need to do with this place.
Look, for now, it makes sense to get rid of the car, rid of the body, like we already have, and that's it. That's all we need. What more could we possibly? Eyes on it would just attract the wrong sort of attention.
Ain't no sort of wrong attention for this one. As long as they come to the church, everything is great attention.
No offense, but having eyes on this building won't exactly attract eyes to your church, no will it?
Yeah, I can't be every place at all the times.
Look, I'm known to visit and philanthropize and what have you. I can just say I'm checking in on the place. A couple strolls, make sure no one is sniffing around.
One is a good idea. Won't attract too much attention.
I want to watch that phrasing around our new friend, I suppose.
All right, then. With that, we have one more piece of business to do. I'm going to need some stealth from our Lottie. Need a stealth roll. Let's see. I'm going to need some wits and awareness, and then also I'm going to need dex stealth.
Okay. Awareness and some wits.
And then I'll tell you if you notice anything, or if anybody notices you.
Okay. 4 successes.
That's very good. That's very good. All
right.
Got 3 hunger. Risky.
I do. 2 successes.
Okay. I will tell you this before we go to our 2nd of November. There is you stroll around. Everybody is sort of dispersed. You have moved the car away. And there's that sort of the spot where the car was parked. And you come back and forth just to see how it's doing. You know, if it does well. And in the process, Arden's here. Nice. Swap you two. Sometime a little bit later in the evening, you see a black, dark tinted windowed car drive by the area. A little bit too nice for this neighborhood. Just drive by, a little slowly, continue on, turn the corner. 10, 15 minutes later, drives back again, searching for something that is not there. And then it drives back out and away. With your 4 successes, the license plate is yours. Michigan plates, but the license plate is in your mind. Remembered. So, I need to make some rolls. Right about now, it's important because this is a bit of a catch-up. Your number is 16. Day 1, there were 2 factions arrayed against you. Well, with their own agenda. I'm going to roll 10d10 and see how many successes that is. 1, 2, 3, 4. For the first of those 2 factions. And I'm just going to say, please, I'm going to be very specific about what I'm saying here. So for day 1, 1 faction got 4. And a second faction got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 11 successes on day 1. Day 2, there are 2 factions working on this project, but they're not the same 2 factions. One was not working that day, and a new one showed up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 22. And day 3. Day 3, all 3 are working. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4. The number that is currently arrayed against you in this extended test is 38 to your 16. I will note that's 3 factions working against you. Now, it is November the 2nd, day 4, a brand new day. What all do you do? You have a meeting with Elena Ochoa. She wants to meet the Primogen Counsel. You have some lupine who will be doing some things today. What all are you doing?
Wait, what day is it again?
November the 2nd, day 4. All of the car stuff was the last night. But this is...
I mean, the day of the week.
Oh, the day of the week. Pardon me. 1973. That is a... wrong button. Friday. As Rebecca
Excellent.
Black
Okay.
says, it's a Friday.
Okay.
Friday. Getting down on Friday.
I know the Reverend has a meeting or is going to be meeting up with Davis at some point. But the Reverend has to get his nom on. So that is my goal for the now, because I'm not trying to go into this meeting with Davis hungry because I'm about to give her some of my blood.
There will be more rousings.
Indeed.
So, for those who are hunting, I would like hunting rolls.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip all that. I'm just gonna compel somebody.
Fair enough.
I just really the truth of it. I'm not doing my normal hunting ground today. I got business to take care of. I'm gonna find some random somewhere in the hood strolling. Think they're gonna walk up on me? I'm gonna take them over the corner. Like you here. Done deal. You want to come talk to me? I got the Lord on my side.
In which case, I'm going to need a subterfuge roll, manipulation subterfuge, subterfuge from you is what I will need. You get the person, of course. The question is, do people see you? By the way, phlegmatic.
All right.
It's just a 2. It's not difficult. But this is just to see if anybody on the street notices something odd, you know?
There you go.
No problem. This is not an issue. But you're out on the street. You're going to take somebody off the street. It's just to see if anybody notices anything.
Somebody randomly looking out a window or something.
Exactly. How much do you take? You can take 2 without
I'm
putting them
just
in
take 2.
Done. What about the rest of you 2?
Don't feel like cleaning up tonight.
Lottie's role was it was Dex Animal Kin, right?
Yes.
All right. Just gonna keep it simple. Just a rat, maybe 2.
By the way, your ritual continues to be somewhat sluggish. I will ask you if you that will give you 1 blood back. If you want to do it again, you'll need another. Just in case. Also, why is it only 2 dice?
Because I was bad at managing my sheet. Can you believe it?
All right.
I should have looked at the predator roll. I was like, I'm not gonna need animal kin to hunt. Surprise!
If you're hunting animals, yes. Okay. So those are all hunger dice.
Secret.
That's good. That's good. You'll have to just get some animal kin. That's fine. No, you do not get any animals the next time around, so you can only take 1 hunger
fine.
off. Luckily, the animals are not going to try to murder you. Prince, do you hunt?
No, I'm at 1 hunger. I don't eat.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question.
Of course.
And it's important. Where do you live? I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to take us, I'm going to take us all to our map screen. So here's a map of Detroit, one of the many maps I have for them. Where do you live? So here, over here is Dearborn. Dearborn's over in this sort of area. You can see it over here, right? So here's Dearborn. Here is central downtown. This sort of area here, like this area, this area, this area, tends to be where all of y'all live. You can look on this map here of downtown Detroit, all up this corridor, right? So all of this sort of the downtown Detroit area around this area tends to be where people tend to be congregating of your sort. Here, Grosse Point, this is where rich people live, so not over there. Just a note. So tell me, when you do this ritual, do you do it in your home each time? Do you do it in different places? And where do you live?
I do it in my home because right now I have no sanctum sanctorum besides that, and I probably live near downtown, but on the western side of it, northwestern side of it.
Mm-hmm. Again, sluggish. It's a bit sluggish.
That's great. Love that.
Yeah. A little more sluggish than normal. You're hitting towards 30 minutes at this point.
We love that. We absolutely
Considering
love that.
the rolls that happened there. That 30 versus 16, which is where you're currently sitting.
I do have another spell I want to cast.
Please.
This one's a bit different.
Hmm.
It is called Bloody Message. So I go into my bathroom, my ensuite, I go into my bathroom that's been and I flash a UV light at it. And I pull out some human blood from the refrigerator because I do have some. I'm connected to the medical community enough.
Yes, you are.
And I would like to make a message appear to a specific type of person which disappears once read. It appears on another reflective surface the practitioner has seen before and can mentally recall when the designated type of individual passes by.
Okay.
I have been to that fancy restaurant before, and I know that was the first place that our friend Sterling was sent. So I'm going to designate a type of individual, and that type of individual is anyone who is part. Let's make it tasty. Anyone who is part of Whitney's bloodline.
Ooh. Okay. Yes.
And it simply says, "Your last friend died. Don't make the same mistakes."
I'm going to write this down exactly. Your last friend died. Don't make the same mistakes. So good. So good. Do you have to rouse for that?
Yes, I do. Let's rouse check right now. Now, this makes me a bit hungrier, and that's okay. I can deal with it.
Okay. I love that, by the way.
I love these little fun rituals. I wanted to play with blood sorcery, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity. Despite the fact that magic is so much more difficult here. The roll I'm going to need to make is intelligence and blood sorcery.
The difficulty is not raised. It just takes a little bit more time at the moment, as if you're... well, roll it, and I will tell you.
I will say for each success the practitioner rolls, the message will repeat for each new individual of the chosen type who passes the surface. It clears itself from the surface as soon as it's been read once, and it appears in the handwriting and language in which the sorcerer wrote it. So once it's been read, it clears, but it will repeat for any new member of Whitney's bloodline as many successes as I have. Here's hoping it's more than one. Whitney also counts as part of Whitney's bloodline, right?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
I would hope so.
Or his sire.
And also his sire. 3 successes. Okay. I have to note this because this is important. This is very important, and I love this very much. Oh, so good. So good. Okay.
Sometimes the old prince deserves a middle finger. Just saying.
Can I get an intelligence blood sorcery roll from you?
You did. It's 3 successes.
No, I need another one.
Of course. I would love to.
Or I mean, if you wanted, do you have a cult?
Yes, I do have a cult, but not as
Which
much
is
as I do
better?
blood sorcery. Blood
I
You have a
have
sorcery.
a
specialization.
cult.
You have a cult. You do have a cult. That's true. What's your specialization in occult?
I don't have one.
Do you have a? Okay, that's fine. Then take one bonus die though, because this is
Okay.
pretty occulty.
All right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
5 successes.
Mm-hmm. I would like you, but let me give you dramatic music for this.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't know if I feel this is called ritual. I don't know if I like it. Let's see. No, we'll go with oppressive gloom. That's way better. Right. I would like you to describe in vivid detail how you do this ritual, and I'm going to interrupt you in moments just to give you insights.
Yes. So, this is a normal shaving mirror inside a bathroom that is sparklingly clean because I don't use it very often. I turn on the light above the bathroom. Not the bathroom itself, but there's a light above the mirror itself that flashes down UV light because I've had it updated. And I dip a small ink brush into human blood with a drop of my own or two. And I write in very elegant cursive English script. Your last friend died. Do not make the same mistake.
Stop, rewind. When you first start putting the brush onto the mirror, I presume you must channel magical energy. Is that so?
Absolutely.
Describe to me how that works.
I close my eyes. Kasim closes his eyes, and almost as if the blood in his hand, even though there's no blush of life is going on, comes to life again. The veins and ripples down from his chest down to his arm, which is transmuting magic, flare up and almost glow just a little bit because of the nature of the specific spell. And as I touch the mirror with the brush, just as I touch it, it doesn't stain the mirror red like blood normally would, but instead a very noxious, angry black. And I slowly draw.
You know how long it takes to write, but it takes you a longer time to write. But why does it take a longer time to write? Is it because it's harder for you to sort of get the magic on there? With those successes, the answer is no, that's not why. 5 successes? It's not that you're not pushing through a barrier. As the magic flows through your veins, it's only half as much. It's as if the magic that you draw from your blood and the space around you is being leached away somewhere else. And so you have to take almost double the time to draw in the energy you need to feed through your veins and into this brush. It's almost as if only half the ink comes. And so you have to make a second stroke. It's as if the very magical essence of this place is only half of what it should be. But not because it has been destroyed, but because it's being leached.
Stolen.
Indeed. Stolen indeed.
I make a note. We are going to see Elena Ochoa. I imagine she knows more than me already.
If you recall, Elena was waylaid. Someone is powerful, or someone's are powerful. There are some important workings happening. Probably. Maybe. Something is stealing the very essence, the very magical essence of this land, of this place, of the workings within it.
I
Lottie, please,
yeah.
Prince,
Oh,
Prince
I
Kasim.
I pull a small book from underneath the floorboard and I rifle through some texts and I make a note of that on the back to try and investigate it further in the future. And then I put it back.
Lottie, you did some work with the church, talking to them. You did this as part of your investigations, getting to know people at the AME church, where Miss Williams is, Miss Williamson. And as you were sort of going about, you learned the following. This is some information you've learned. What you have learned is that the local churches have had visitors. Now, not this church. It's an AME church. They had one who stopped by briefly and then left. But what she's heard is that quite a few, especially the Pentecostal churches, holiness churches, anything that seems a little, well, Mrs. Williams would probably say, a little low class. There's some things there, have had tourists who've come to see the sermons. This is not new necessarily. There are always tourists that want to go see the Baptist church with their big church choir, gawk at people's practices. But the AME church is not known for big, booming gospel choirs in that sort of hard Baptist Pentecostal way. So it's a little bit weird that they showed up. But they did show up. They sat through. They seemed to just sort of be tourists and then leave. But she thought it was odd because other churches tend to be the ones that get those, not this. And she thought it was a little bit odd. She'd also heard that these tourists also showed up in other churches that were not. She thought it was odd that they showed up at her church because her church is pretty respectable. An organ. You know, they don't handle snakes or anything like that. So why would you come for your tourism? But she'd heard from a friend of hers that they also showed up in some of the Latinx churches, some of the Korean churches, that these tourists have been showing up in more churches than you would think. She thinks maybe they must be students or anthropology students or something, probably. But they seem to sort of just sit, see what was happening, and then go. And she thought that was a little bit odd. And the thing is, they're all different. She asked people what they looked like, and they weren't the same people necessarily. So she thought that was strange, because if they were students from the university, they probably would have said something, maybe. So she just thinks it's a little bit odd that people seem to be doing their tourism in respectable churches and not just raucous churches, and also churches that don't have really good music. She thought that was strange. Her church has very good music. She meant the other churches that don't have good music. Her church has very good music.
Oh, absolutely. Like, wouldn't expect any different.
You might find, because you're from the South, you might find her church's music to be It's
To
very respectable.
refine. Okay, yes. They
Yes.
follow the hymns by
Yes.
the note and have the hymn. Okay.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yes.
There's no shouting.
Wonderful.
They have an
No,
organ.
of course.
It's there's no charismatic sanctified singing whatsoever in that particular church. They do follow the hymnal. They are, I mean, some of the harmonies are quite nice, but and there's some very good strong voices, but they follow the hymnal.
Yes, it's a very mezzo piano joyful noise.
Yes,
Yes.
it is. That's exactly what it is. And so she doesn't quite understand why people will be coming to her church, and she doesn't like it, right? She thinks that's the sort of thing for other churches, but she noticed, right? And she was worried that other tourists would show up, but none of them did. Just that one pair.
Which service did they attend?
Well, they attended one of the evening services, one of the evening services on a Saturday night.
And Lottie's expression kind of changes. Her lips get a little bit thinner. The smile is still there, but um, the air of concern is visible. It shifts. Would you mind if I attended? To speak to
Well,
the tourist, of course. I do love inquiring minds.
well, of course. Now, I will say they haven't been back. They did ask a few questions, though, that I thought were quite strange, dear.
Do you recall the questions?
Well, I thought it was a little bit insulting, you know. They said that they were just here to go listen to the music and well, I didn't think much of it, but well, they did ask if there was any sort of, I don't want to say, inappropriate. It was racism, dear.
Ah, okay.
They were asking if we did voodoo here. And of course we don't. We're good Christians.
Well, I am so sorry for their insensitivities. That
I
is
mean, what's
quite rude.
that? I know. They said that they were looking, they wanted to know where they could find churches that did that sort of thing. And I said, well, there are some churches that are a bit more charismatic in that way, sort of ungodly ways. There's a church, what is his name? Reverend, oh, it's that church around the way. What is his name? Luther? Cornelius? Joseph? That seems like some sort of less refined church. I said they should go there if they were looking for voodoo. There's also a Pentecostal holiness church. I directed them there as well
Mm.
because, dear, I feel like people coming up and handling snakes and speaking in tongues and rolling around and all of that, all of sort of holy rollers. I'm sure that's the sort of thing they were looking for.
Completely unrefined. I am curious. I don't think I've heard of you said Reverend Luther?
Well, yes, yes. He's some sort of, I don't know. I think he came up from the South, and from my understanding, he's some sort of big charismatic preacher. Well, I don't know. He seems a little fancy for my taste. I don't know. Oh, I also told them to go down to the Nation of Islam. They don't seem all that holy to me either. They could go there if you're looking for voodoo. But I'm glad you're here with us. Anyway, those tourists say they'd check out all of those churches.
I see. And if I do see them, I'll give them a very nice talking to.
Please do,
A
please let
welcoming
them
talking.
know. Yes, but let them know that some of us always wear very nice outfits and are very respectable, much like you are. We don't roll around on the floor. Whatever it is.
I'm at a loss for words.
I know. Well, I'm going to guess that they're college students, although they did look somewhat old.
Hmm.
No,
I'll be
30s maybe?
okay. I'll likely run into them. I like to be around town and getting to know everyone. So maybe they're not
One
tourists,
of them
maybe
had a
they're
bit of a crew cut, like one of those sort of haircuts. And the woman, she was quite muscular, and they didn't really look like students. They seemed too old, in their 30s maybe. Well, although I suppose professors could be that old, but don't professors wear like leather patches on their jackets and whatnot?
Mm, not to my
Oh,
immediate knowledge. And of course, there could be some starting later in life or continuing education,
I
non-traditional
suppose.
students.
I suppose. Well, I'm just going to say that I'm very proud to be part of a local congregation that always dresses well, always makes sure their hair is nicely pressed, not like some of these people with their afro haircuts and whatnot. You have to be very, very respectable if you want to sort of get along well.
Quite true.
Now, you said we should vote for this Coleman Young. Is he respectable?
Oh, absolutely. Best of the best, top of his class. I'm
Oh,
quite excited.
all right then. Oh, by the way, dear, if you want to meet our pastor, again, Mr. Washington, Reverend Washington, he is single.
And I recall for the second time,
Good.
I'm a little busy with my activism and
Oh,
I'm
yes,
not
of
necessarily
course.
looking for, but thank you.
Well, I mean, you do look young, but you do want to get married soon. You don't want to sort of be older than 25 and unmarried. That would be terrible.
I think I'm destined to be a spinster, but it's fine.
Oh, no, no, no. You come by on Saturday. We'll make sure, or Sunday morning maybe, we'll make sure that, well, I will introduce you.
I'll see what I can do.
And she smiles at you, and she then hands you a little butterscotch candy just to make sure that you're very excited about coming back. So maybe you can
Mhm.
marry her pastor.
Yeah,
Because she doesn't
absolutely.
want you to
Yeah.
get too old.
Yeah, you do.
Also, it's 1973, and people are like, what? But she's not necessarily in 1973.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Reverend. Reverend. Uh, Davis is going to show up early because she knows you've got a meeting. You
I
all
did have
do.
one more thing that I forgot,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
have to handle before this. I need to talk to the church ladies to get them all prepared for the potential mayor visiting.
Oh, yes. Um, I don't know how to tell you this. I'm sure you've not noticed. The church ladies think you are just so adorable. There's always a flock of church ladies around you, of all sorts of ages. Um, because you are handsome, you're young, you're unmarried, you're super charismatic, and you've got this like. There's always a gaggle, right? There's so much talk. From It's one of those things where you're like, oh, there's a little bit of a. I wouldn't call it a brawl or a fight because no hands are thrown. But there's certainly a
Right.
little bit of using one's hips to move other people out of the way to see who's going to be able to actually do the potato salad because and also there's a bit of a competition for who's going to do what in terms of food um because oh, Reverend, you seem a little. You've not. I feel like you haven't eaten enough. You're so thin. You know, my pie is actually the best pie in all of Detroit. And I don't know how to tell you this, but you get a lot of food all the time. There's always string bean casseroles. There is so much food all the time. Somebody's fried chicken. And if you think the politics of vampires are dangerous, if you think the politics of the kindred are the most bloodthirsty that you can find, you have not lived until you've seen.
This is the most difficult part of being here, honestly, is not eating this food that they keep trying to shove on me. But I give most of it away to various organizations, things of that nature.
Yeah.
I'm a philanthropist, of course.
Absolutely.
But Luther, if you don't taste it, how will they?
Oh, there's a little nibbles and stuff like that, and then Luther proceeds to go to his office.
Yep. But you mentioned that you are lanky, and so I will tell you that your life is an unending sea of mothers who want you to meet their daughters, and also maybe them. Also, there's a lot of people who are very excited. Also, your choir director, he's also very excited to meet you. And there's just a lot of trying to impress you with food and hospitality. You're always invited over to somebody's house for Thanksgiving. There is
choir director who's just really happy.
That's very happy.
He's just very happy.
And the thing is, your church is always very full with a lot of people who new and not new. And there's a very strong sense of community there. There's a very strong sense of people who've newly moved up from the South who want a place that feels like home. People who want a place where they can feel the spirit. Do you give a sermon on Friday night?
I did not. This is where we have like our Bible study and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No sermons. I don't usually show up on Friday nights, but I know when people will be here doing stuff, things of that nature. So this is that moment where I can get into a few names so that the word will spread around to get this place prepared for Sunday, because we got or Saturday night and then Sunday.
Saturday night.
Because Saturday night is where we're going to be putting this on.
Oh, Saturday night. Weird. It was Saturday night. That's also the same night that those tourists are running around going to various churches. Weird coincidence, I suppose.
Interesting coincidence.
Yeah. Anyhow,
the longest part of this is actually extricating myself
yes, it is.
From this situation.
Oh no. And like, there's pinching of cheeks. You know what I mean? Like there is, everybody wants your attention.
I know,
Everybody
Sister
wants you to
Marsha,
look.
your daughter is single, and I understand. There's a nice young gentleman named Robert who has been interested.
Reverend, have I introduced you to my niece, though?
I appreciate the offer, sister. I really do.
Well, how about, you live alone. Why don't you come over to my house? All of us will be there for dinner Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, we got the election.
Oh, yes, you're right. I'm so sorry. Well, soon.
Perhaps another time we'll discuss it. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Now, but here's the thing. I was thinking, what do you think about, and there's now choir robe catalogs. Like nobody ever wants to be out of your sight. Nobody wants you to leave. There are catalogs for new stoles.
I have to go talk about some things, and We get to speak to the radio. We have quite a few
Oh,
things that we got to
sorry.
get squared away for this election. Just make sure the people know that to vote for Coleman Young and keep spreading the word, because he's going to be here, and he's going to be bringing quite a few new potential members of the congregation. You understand?
Oh, yes. Well, now I have a question though, but just one question. There was a block leader who came in. I'd never met him before, and he said that our polling place had moved, and that he was going to come in and take us on the buses to a new polling place.
No. If you don't get the word from me, you're getting on the buses.
Well, he
So you
said
spread
that he
that
was
word
from
too.
the. Oh, well, all right, but he said he was from the
what did he say?
Democratic Party. He was very nice.
Nah, I don't know nothing about that.
Oh, well, he said that he said he was going to pick us all up, and there was going to be a big bus and just move us all out to a brand new polling station.
I don't trust that at all whatsoever.
Oh,
There's a lot of deceptive and shady practices going on, and we can't have that here. So unless
Well,
you
they've
get
been-
word from me,
well, all right, but they said that they were from a volunteer organization. I have their name somewhere. That's right. It was Riverfront Samaritans.
Riverfront Samaritans. I'm gonna have to do some research on these Riverfront Samaritans. I ain't never heard of them.
Oh, well, they said that they were going to go and try to help out. No?
Listen, maybe everything they're saying is on the up and up, but until I have a chance to investigate that, we're gonna stick to my plan. I got some buses and some limousines and several things lined up. And
Well, all right. Well,
thank
the
you for
Riverfront
telling me.
Samaritan young man seemed very, very nice. But all right. We'll
Have
go
a blessed day, sister.
You now, by the way, the gaggle's always there, right? And there are in your church. I imagine there are also kids, right, playing with blocks, right, like being at that safe space to sort of hang out in the evening, is
Absolutely.
and I imagine there's probably like a Kool-Aid, right, in the little paper Dixie cups. You can get some Kool-Aid, some bologna sandwiches, right? There's probably like good spreads for folks who want to eat, and it's a warm church, and a lot of people come in and out. Not a lot of strangers come in and out, and if there ever is a stranger, people notice, like our Riverfront Samaritans. But and anytime somebody new comes in, they do tell you because they want an excuse to talk to you at all times, right? And so apparently there are some Riverfront Samaritans. This is part of your role from last time, by the way. Out and about trying to see what was up. Also, Vin, what I told you was also part of your role from last time as well. The results of your role as well. Davis will be out waiting for you when you leave the church finally. She's on a motorcycle, and she's just like without a helmet, because it is the 70s, hanging out. And she's like, Luther, come on, let's go.
Now you know I can't be seen riding on that.
Well, come over my pad before we go meet with Elena.
Absolutely. If you like, you can drive the Cadillac.
She thinks about it. Just meet me at my pad.
All right, fine.
And she looks like she won, right? And so she's feeling in control of your relationship because she looks like she won. She feels like she won that one. As she heads back to her place, and she's expecting you to follow.
I am.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to need a rouse check for that mesmerize, I believe.
So here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to mesmerize her again right now.
Oh, I see. All right.
I do intend to use that again, just not at this very moment. So if she's trying to trick me, I'm gonna just ride with it. We'll see what happens.
No, she's not trying to trick you. She's wanting to hang out. You know what I mean? And like get to know you.
Yes.
And like spend time with you because she's got these.
I know how blood bond works.
You know what I mean? She's got a little bit of a blood bond going on, just a little bit.
And she likes me.
But she also likes to be in charge of things, right? And so she likes to.
And this is why I'm letting this ride.
Yeah. And she, she says, Luther, look, my friend Kim, she's got an opportunity to really change the city. Like all this time, our kind of their kind was like always fighting against each other, like so much violence. But I feel like we can maybe coexist, We could be like groovy with one another.
I think that's a lot to ask of our fellow kindred.
Yeah, but you've got to convince them.
I think the best bet is to convince our brand new prince.
Well, I suppose it's just, you're very charismatic. And if you could do that, if you could convince everyone, that would be good. You know what I mean? For you.
How would that be beneficial to me to jump into bed with the lupines?
No, it's not about that. It's about being seen as like a peacemaker, That's that's leadership.
You know what? I'm inclined to agree with you, Davis. Davis, if you don't mind me asking, do you have a drink?
Not
an empty glass or something?
Oh, yes. Hold on. She goes over and she pulls out a bottle of malt liquor. Like, she's a gangster.
Every time.
She pulls out a bottle of malt liquor. And she pours a glass. It's not a wine glass, right? It's a nice, like a tumbler. You know what I mean? Like a drinking glass for juice. She pours out, and she pours out some of the malt liquor. You would have to imagine Billy D. Williams is on the ad for this malt liquor, and she
that's why I made that.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. She hands it to you. Interested? It's cool.
No. This is not exactly what I was looking for. And I grabbed the glass and I go to her sink and I pour it out. This glass represents something for both of us, right? It's empty right now. We are in charge of so much within this city. So much to keep control of and to keep from going off the rails. But right now, our glass is damn near empty. We've just got a new prince. People are dying. And they're blowing up people up in here.
By the way, her pad has got psychedelic tie-dye sheets on the walls, beaded curtains. There's like a lava lamp. It is a very groovy pad.
It's the Davis experience.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But I'd like to fill this glass up with
symbolically.
Exactly. Symbology, exactly. With people who truly believe in what we're trying to accomplish here. Now, eventually, I'm gonna get the prince over into our side and various members of the Primogen Counsel. But I think this starts with me and you.
Okay.
And I take a little bite of the hand and I drip it into the glass.
She takes a bite of her hand and drips it into the glass. All right.
Nope.
Groovy.
Well, and now here's what I think should happen here. I think you should have a sip.
You first. And she looks really excited by this unity that you are talking about.
Now I am forever the gentleman. I must insist.
She takes a sip, but she leaves the other half for you.
And I look at her and I say, "No, I think you should finish it." And I use mesmerize.
Okay. What is my defense on this one?
Your defense is going to be
Pretty sure it was
intelligence
5.
and resolve.
All right. It was a 5. Let us see.
Manipulation.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Damn. All right.
It's just like sharing
That actually roll, right?
groovy times.
Oh, hold on.
Good roll. It's a good roll. I think you have to rouse. Yes.
Yes, I am going to rouse as well. So first do this. Well, low hunger. And then I'm roll this.
She's into you, so you gotta,
Oof.
You can spend willpower and hope for a crit.
Much worse. That's all I got left. Crit fish.
Reroll. You're gonna spend the willpower.
I am. I'm having an issue.
Oh, it's them. It's not you. She is looking expectantly for you to finish that glass.
What the hell? Well.
Nope. She says,
"All right. Well, I know her bond is probably increased because she just drank a chunk of that. So,
you can tell she is serious about this. Oh,
down the hatch.
Okay. And she smiles at you as if this is the most. You can tell. This is groovy. This is the beginning of something beautiful. I am going to say that Elena is waiting for you all.
Yeah, I'll just say I think this is a beautiful partnership, but we have another meeting we got to attend to. So we should get over there, all right?
And she she turns down the Hendrix, which she had going on in the background. And she goes, "Motorcycle?
You got an extra shirt?"
Yes. And she goes and she gets you like a leather jacket. And she is feeling like this sharing of blood between you is a great idea. And
I am feeling like this is a terrible fucking idea, but I am going to ride this motorcycle now.
Great idea. Now, I will note, when you make your way to the place where Elena wants to meet you, which is a different of one of Bao's restaurants, a different one. She has set up a projector, and she's got a wall, and she's got some photographs, and she's got some maps, and she's got like city blueprints. Like she's got a lot sort of laid out. She looks like I would say she looks like she hasn't slept, but she's undead, so you know. But she's clearly been working really hard. And when you all come in, she smiles at each one of you with it's a tight smile, as if there's something, you know, important to say. And she says, okay, if you're ready, I have to show you something. Are you?
I'll just add that by accident, Elena and not Elena, but Davis and the Reverend are holding hands when they walk in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily intentional. It's just that
No.
fucking blood bond.
No, you're not holding hands. She's got
no.
her hand in your back pocket.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Even
She's
better.
got her hand in your back pocket, because that's groovy. You know what I mean? She's got that kind of like groovy vibe.
And in most cases, this would be the thing. I'd be like, get the fuck off me. But right now, it doesn't seem like that bad of a deal.
Okay, have you seen Della? Because none of us have yet.
Oh. Roscoe comes in. Everybody, evening. My man
Roscoe.
Prince,
Always good to see you, brother.
Just hold on for a second. Don't use my name. Let me just take a look around. And you notice that Kasim is like in full cop getup, first off. Not like a uniform, but there is a badge on his waist. And his accent is different. I'm gonna activate heightened senses, and I'm gonna take a look around, take an ear around, just try to make sure that we're not getting any ears or eyes that we don't want.
Please roll it with your bonus.
Yes, I will. So wits awareness. And I get 1 plus another 1 because of potency. 3 successes.
Your ears go out into the night to pay attention to this space. You can tell she's warded this room fresh inside this place, just to make sure. And so when you sort of send your ears out, it's hard for you to hear much outside of the room, as if sound is dampened on the outside. And Bao has sort of kept this sort of area completely sort of free. You can sort of tell way back sort of the shuffling of people sort of far away, but it's as if there's like a dead zone around this spot. There is one thing, because you have heightened senses. You hear sirens in the distance, not coming closer, but the police are on the move out there in the city nights.
There's a shoulder, like 2 shoulders are dropped. And then we're back to like the usual Kasim y'all know. But do you have a servitor or a retainer anywhere nearby?
I do. Why?
That direction, there are cops moving. I want to know why.
She nods. And she knocks on the door. Bao opens up. She goes, Bao, Could you tell Francisco to check? Val nods and says, should I call Blue Jean?
Yes, please.
He nods and heads out. She says, well, I have information for you I think might put things in a bigger perspective. So, if you're ready, I have things to share. City records and more. And she clicks on a small projector, and after turning off the lights, and a sort of small film starts projecting onto the walls. And my friends, this is where we're going to take our break. We're going to take our break right about now. And during our break, I'm going to play you a movie. This is what I'm going to do. And it is a movie from 1965. It is 15 minutes long. And it is the story of Detroit's layout and why Detroit looks the way it looks, what all the roads are doing, where they came from, where they're going, why they're there. You know, just city planning. That's all. That's all. We'll be back in 15 minutes. Please enjoy your video about Detroit city planning for no particular reason. We'll be right back, everybody.
To an overhead observer, the street pattern of Detroit presents a strange mosaic of conflicting systems, which seem to start and end with no apparent reason, and to have no relation with each other. However, the twists and turns have their historic explanations. It all began when a group of Frenchmen, led by Cadillac, landed at the site of Detroit on July 24th, 1701. Their settlement, Fort Pontchartrain, was protected on three sides by water, and its four main streets paralleled the shoreline of the river. Cadillac's wise Indian policy helped Detroit to become an important fur trading post. The site, which provided a narrow crossing in the Great Lakes system, was a focal point for Indian trails, even before the white man. With its new function as a trading center, more trails were worn through the wilderness. After 6 decades, French rule was replaced by the British. It, in turn, gave way to American control. When the newly appointed American administrators arrived at their Michigan territorial capital, they found that a tragic fire had completely destroyed the city on June 11, 1805. One of the three judges, Augustus B. Woodward, persuaded the townspeople not to rebuild immediately, but to plan for the metropolis which he envisioned. His plan was based on an equilateral triangle 4,000 feet to a side. Each angle was bisected by a perpendicular line to the opposite side. Where these streets met, a rectangular park was formed. Large circular parks were also at each corner of the triangle. This system could be repeated endlessly, simply by adding new triangles, reversing the point each time. The plan called for a park interrupting each major thoroughfare every 4,000 feet. Judge Woodward did not foresee the effect of parks on through traffic, shown here where 2nd Avenue detours around Cass Park. The plan was opposed because of its conflict with old property lines, its maze of angles, and the arbitrary method used to determine the width of the streets. As a result, only the upper part of one triangle, bits of two others, one rectangular park, and half of one circular park were ever built. The bases of these triangles parallel the shoreline rather than a cardinal direction. The existing part of the Woodward plan makes up most of the present central business district. The old Indian trails were improved when demand or military needs necessitated and provided the major land access routes to Detroit. Even today, the major thoroughfares of the city, which radiate from the business district, follow the routes blazed centuries ago by fur-trading Indians. These major routes connected rather smoothly with the remnants of the Woodward plan, with one exception. It was planned to connect Grosjet with Monroe Avenue. But this would have ruined an orchard owned by a Mr. Brush, who successfully blocked this link, and Grosjet was built 1 block north. As a result, thousands of motorists each day must make 2 turns. A turn to the left avoids the old orchard site. Traffic then travels northward along the west edge of the former grove. Finally, it turns right, and the driver is at last on Grosjet. The old French farms were long and narrow to give each farmer access to the river, at that time the only sure means of transportation. The boundaries, drawn at right angles from the shoreline, became roads commonly named after the owner of the adjoining land, such as Brush and Beaubien. The farmers had little objection to boundary roads, but resisted cross streets which divided their land. This has resulted in many jogs and dead ends on these streets. Thus, whereas Detroit has an adequate system of routes extending from the shoreline, many cross streets, such as Verner, were built in fragmented bits and are not smooth traffic ways. Even the egotistical Judge Woodward had not intended the avenue he named after himself to become the main street of Detroit. However, it was the only spoke street that paralleled the French farm boundaries. Woodward is the line where many cross streets change their names. Dividing the east and west sides of the city, Woodward is the baseline for most house numbers. In the 1870s, a group of citizens began a campaign for a boulevard to circle the city. An opponent in the Michigan legislature said, "The district through which it is proposed to run is so wet and marshy that the boulevard would be a goose pond during the winter and spring months, and a goose pasture in the summer, for who would ever make use of it as a driveway?" When, in spite of all opposition, Grand Boulevard was built, it too followed the traditional property lines, and for the most part is either at right angles or parallel to the river. The exact route was determined by public-spirited citizens who donated 9/10 of the land that was used. The boulevard was little traveled for a decade, With the expansion which came with the auto industry, the route was soon lined with the stately residences of the wealthy. Today, these buildings are used primarily for convalescent hospitals, funeral homes, beauty salons, day nurseries, and other commercial enterprises. The wide boulevard commonly served as a boundary of new developments, and thus different people at different times laid out the streets on either side. In some places, these diverse plans did not mesh together well. This has resulted in name changes and jogs. A good example is 2nd Avenue, one of the city's busiest thoroughfares, where it crosses Grand Boulevard. Outside the boulevard, an early suburb, Highland Park, was an established settlement long before its huge neighbors surrounded it. This city grew around Henry Ford's Model T plant. Its streets were built to conform with its main thoroughfare, Woodward Avenue. When Detroit grew around Highland Park, the street pattern of the two cities did not meet in all places, requiring several jogs, such as this one on 2nd Avenue. Not only is there an offset at the city boundary, but the older Highland Park streets are narrower than those of Detroit. Just as most of Detroit's older streets were influenced by the early French farms, the newer parts of the city were affected by the American survey pattern. By this time, river frontage was no longer necessary, and the shoreline was completely ignored. The land was divided into square mile sections, using a grid of strictly north-south, east-west lines. The major service roads followed the section lines so as not to cut through farms. The line drawn due west from the old City Hall was considered 0-mile road. It is now called Ford Road. 1 mile north is Warrant Avenue, and then Joy Road, Plymouth, Schoolcraft, Fenkell, McNichols, 7 Mile Road, 8 Mile, and so forth. As this area was urbanized, homes developed primarily along north-south streets. Even major arteries in this direction maintained the residential character in the form of apartment or duplex homes. The east-west thoroughfares, however, became long strings of commercial development. One reason for this pattern of growth might be that the commercial streets have an average of 16 cross streets per mile, along which almost all of the homes of the area are built. The residential routes have only 5 cross streets per mile, along which are very few homes. Livernois, the closest north-south street to the city core, has also become commercialized. It is one of the major used car centers of the world. In some exclusive residential areas, the rectilinear grid pattern has been replaced by a complicated system of curving roadways to discourage through traffic. Many of Detroit's traffic problems are located at points where grid and shoreline systems come together. Davison is a good example. It begins at Van Dyke, runs west, turns, and parallels the river, hitting its cross streets at sharp angles, as shown by its intersection with McNichols. Davison continues in this direction until it reaches Livernois, where it turns due west again. It doesn't come out exactly on a mile line, however, and through traffic must shift 1 block north to Schoolcraft, 4 Mile Road, as Davison, as shown here, changes at Wyoming from a 6-lane divided highway to a 2-lane side street. Even the paths of the new freeways are influenced by the grid and shoreline systems of streets. It is cheaper to use existing routes as part of the right-of-way than to cut across the present pattern. The ford parallels the river and the lake shoreline almost exactly. The lodge starts perpendicular from the river, runs due west to the grid system, and then follows the Northwestern Highway, an old Indian trail. We have seen that Detroit has had 4 basic patterns of growth. The downtown area, which is a small part of Judge Woodward's plan. The major spoke streets, whose routes were based on old Indian trails. Streets at right angles to the shoreline along old French farm boundaries and their perpendicular cross streets. And finally, the north-south and east-west streets of the grid system. Even the recent freeways have conformed to the historic routes which have formed the basic pattern of the city of Detroit.
Welcome back, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. I certainly hope you enjoyed that lovely film from Wayne State University, got by the Detroit Historical Society, all about the city planning of Detroit. From its very early days to various people's ideas about how to rebuild the city. Yes. So let's come back in as the sort of film flickers to the end and Elena Ochoa sort of pulls up a map of 2 different maps of the city. I'm going to show our map view, and I'm going to take our players to a new map. And so she pulls up 2 different maps of Detroit. And she says, okay, so I've done as much research as I could into the history of Detroit and everything we have. So we have let me unlock this so I don't get that good. So we have this downtown, right? If we come up here, you can see you have the downtown and then the spoke streets coming out. So you have, these are the older trails from very far back. These are, I have done a lot of extensive work. These are ley lines. And all of the ley lines come. The story is, oh yes, I have a missing name card. Thank you. In this view, your name card, if I recall, is. Where are you? You are here. Let me make you move to. And then also, I just move you up top. This is much easier to do this way. Bah. Good, thank you. So she says, the story is that you have the city center and the roads go out. But it is not so. The roads come in. These are ley lines that bring all of the energy in to the city center. And the city center, this point, is the point where Judge Augustus Woodward made his sacred geometry. He was not able to enact his vision of the equilateral triangles throughout all the city, but there is one complete triangle with a few bits, and that is exactly where all of the ley lines meet. So, there are some things I must say. Freeways have come with urban renewal. And all of the urban renewal has, well, where do you put freeways? You put freeways, coincidentally, where the marginalized people are. So up along the Chrysler Freeway now is where was what was called Black Bottom, where all of the African Americans had a thriving home. And also there's a small spot which was where the Chinatown was, but they destroyed it. Each one of these bits of urban renewal destroyed the ancestral spaces of many groups of people. And of course, the Native Americans from this place have all long since been moved or killed. And each one of these freeways reinforces through steel these ley lines and evicts people and their homes. But I think the thing that I most feel I should share is this. And she sort of, did it not copy over? Should have copied over. Let me, to back? Yes, there we go. To back. You see, so the blue bars are places where there have been historically marginalized communities who have been destroyed by the urban renewal. And I think it's important to note this urban renewal has been designed more recently. This is from the 50s. And many of the people who are behind this planning of destroying these homes, these families, are part of Detroit Renaissance. And so it is here where I must point out that the center where all of the ley lines converge is where they are building the Detroit Renaissance Center. Let me show you. The Detroit Renaissance Center is created by this nonprofit we know the former governor, George Romney, is in it. We know the head of Ford, Chrysler. We don't know all of the people who are involved in this organization, the Detroit Renaissance, but they have planned a city within a city, walled, impenetrable, safe from bad elements, and it sits atop the confluence of all of the old indigenous trails and all of the ley lines. It is supposed to be 70 stories, 1,500 rooms, office buildings, shops, restaurants, entertainment, but not one that the people can just walk into. And I have made sure I have gotten some photographs of what it looks like at the moment. It is not finished. It will be a couple of more years. But it is like a... There is a lot of special materials, metals being built into this fortress. These towers are made at special angles, right at the center. I believe that the leaching of energy that I have felt, that it is all being leached into the building of the Detroit Renaissance Center. They somehow got all of the permits to take all of this land. It is apparently said that people volunteered this land after the Detroit uprising. It was easy. So many people's homes were destroyed to just take up the land, to take it. They're building this monstrosity right where all of thousands of years of mystical power converge. I think that as this building becomes more and more complete, our magic becomes less and less accessible to us. That is what I found.
So who is the who in that would be taking advantage of all of this convergence of magical, mystical energies?
Well, I assume it must be the Detroit Renaissance. They are the nonprofit who are making this whole thing, who are bankrolling it out of the goodness, millions of dollars. They are volunteering out of their own goodness to make this. And we don't even know who everyone is in the Detroit Renaissance. They make advertisements about New Detroit, but we don't even know everyone who's on their board. It's unclear who they are. But if these towers are meant to be some sort of mystical, technological something, then it is the Detroit Renaissance who is connected to it.
Yeah, I suppose a more straightforward question I'd have is: are they mages? Are they kindred? Or something else?
Mayor Gribbs, the last one, he talked about the project in the
Yes.
newspaper. It was what's it? Complete rebuilding from bridge to bridge.
From bridge to bridge.
Yeah, from Ambassador Bridge that connects to Canada, and this one, MacArthur Bridge, which connects to Belle Isle. So he would know who the actual backer was. Can I do a roll to see how much I know about this ahead of time?
Mm-hmm.
Because I am a cop. Well,
Mhm.
not really, but I've known things.
Yes. I will also note for the record, I've done a lot of searches to try to figure out actually who was in Detroit Renaissance. That is not easy to find out. That is not easy information to find out. I've been looking at academic sources, etc., and I was like, okay, who all is in this secret group of people? I was like, okay, I know a couple of people who are in it. But weirdly, it is really hard to find out who was in it. And they were part of an earlier organization too, called like something Detroit, something Better Detroit, blah, blah, blah. And they renamed themselves after the uprisings. Isn't it? And they then just sort of like, yeah, it's a little, and they put out some promotional films and everything about like, come to Detroit, with very interesting people in those videos. Yeah, so it's actually quite hard to find out, but give me a role. Give me, let's see, everyone who's been here for a bit can give me a different kind of role to figure out what you would know about it. Possible options would be politics would be a possible option to figure out what you might, that could give you something. Finance could give you something. Investigation, no, because investigation would be something you would do if you actually went out to investigate, but like in just terms of off the top of your head, what you would know. Finance, politics, depending, technology could give you something. Streetwise could give you something, depending. There are a couple different things. Basically, if you have a skill, whatever skills you have represents things that you already know as well. So if there's a skill that you think would give you information about this project, which is a massive rebuilding of the entire city. Also, if you have any influence bonuses that could help you as well, you can roll. And I would probably say this would be intelligence based. Any skill that you think would give you background information on this.
I'm gonna do streetwise.
And everything will give you something different. Your base is 2. More than 2 will get you more.
I'll add the bonus for being with the police. I do have an ally who works in the medical community. Would that give me any bonuses? Would she know something?
If you include her as a bonus, that flavors your answer.
I'll say yes, because we've had coffee several times. So
yes,
she's one of the people I talk to regularly.
Yes. Anybody you bring in that way gives you, it flavors the information that you would know from like sort of talking.
That sounds good. Difficulties 2, you said?
Yes, and then anything above that will give you more information.
Could I make an argument for wits? Because Reverend's not the smartest, but he might be able to remember something in the moment.
I would say wits would be for future work, whereas intelligence is for your past background knowledge, if that makes any sense. But if you're like, I want to go investigate now, you could absolutely use wits or whatever else you wanted to use for later in the evening, if that makes any sense.
I'm just tempted to see how far I can take this.
7.
10, actually.
10. Okay. What we got for the rest of our crew? By the way, I will be counting these rolls as your moves, as your score in the social roll for today. Because this does count. Do you know what I mean?
Roll this. I want to go do some actual investigating.
And I will always give you some bonuses later. Reverend, what are you going to roll, and what kind of flavoring do you want to give me for it?
So, all right, we're going to play it this way. I'm going to go with politics, particularly because I have been politically involved since I have been in Detroit. And one of the things that the Reverend's been pushing for is to try to keep the white flight from happening, because I need those tax dollars here.
Yes, you do.
In order to fund my various endeavors. Reverend also has a house out in the suburbs, even though I don't necessarily like him. It is what it is. And so I kind of got my ear to the ground, and people have learned to accept that I'm there, even if they don't necessarily like me.
I know you have some influence dots and influence for politics. You can add those as dice.
Ooh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I have two.
So please add those as dice as well. Because you are now pulling in all the things you have to know what is your background knowledge, because you've been here for a couple of years. That's currently
the dice
one.
are against me today.
You know what? That should be a reroll.
That is definitely going to be a reroll.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Ooh.
So here's the thing. Here's a question.
One of them nights.
I have a merit called called Call to Purpose.
Hey.
May motivate another teammate to gain the effect of a willpower point to be immediately used. I know he just did a willpower reroll. Can I argue that he can get another one from me patting him on the back very well?
On one condition.
Yes. Hit me.
I want to see that RP.
You got it.
Because I know that you two are really good friends, and I just want to drink my sweet tea and watch this happen.
Everybody's putting hands on Luther tonight, and I love the turnaround.
What did I
Usually he
do?
put hands on
What
people.
did I do?
Yeah, you know what? I pat Luther on the back on this, but I'm standing on the opposite side to Davis. So Davis has got one hand in the pocket, and I got one hand in the back, and I rush up and like almost massage the neck. I can see you're struggling.
All this?
Take a deep breath. You got this. Well, not breath. You know what I mean. You're struggling. I can see it in your eyes. You've got this. You know more than you let on. Think of everything. Think of all the old ladies who come with apple pies and casseroles to you. All of them talk, right? One of them has been displaced by this. I guarantee it. What do they know? You know more than you're telling. You know more than you know.
I gotta say, I just don't appreciate your touching all like this. I usually don't like people all up in my personal space. And if you weren't the prince, we would have some problems. But since you are my prince, I'm gonna let the Lord guide me through this time of trial and tribulation. Think on this for a little bit. See if I didn't find one of these old white ladies out here in the suburbs who talking, just jibber jabbering while I'm out here cutting my grass. And I don't even know why she outside at night. I cut my own grass. She just watching me?
Luther, they want to marry you off.
The white women?
Everyone.
That's a lot to deal with. How y'all be doing? When I was embraced, I didn't have to deal with all of this. This was just a whole thing not to worry about.
When I was embraced, we were fighting Napoleon. Things change.
You old.
3.
You just got that. 3 successes. Thank goodness.
I got something.
And Lottie.
I'll just give it a regular wits politics.
Int politics. Because this
okay.
Background knowledge.
Thank you. Still same dot, so it's fine.
Yeah, I'd have got a way better roll if I'd have did wits politics, believe me.
But
you can look up on top and see it.
I have an int of 4.
I got it.
2. By the way, did you have anything you wanted to flavor that with, though, Ben?
Not necessarily.
Any particular merits that you want to sort of add in there? Because your merits can flavor.
I do have clerk control. Could have like rifled through some letters. Just happened to see some information.
You said clerk control?
Mm-hmm.
That's how many dots of that do you have?
2.
roll 2 more dice because that will flavor.
Alrighty. Oh no, 2 more
Or successes.
successes.
That's 4. That's also very good. So let's think about this 3, 4, and 10, all with slightly different flavors. So let's start with Luther. So what you know is that this organization claims to be a philanthropic nonprofit. And it has got the head of Ford, head of Chrysler, some really big names, right? Former governor. But those are the most public-facing ones. And all the really important politicians are in it. However, not all of them are. For example, Coleman Young is not a member of Detroit Renaissance. He was a state senator. He's very influential. He cares about rebuilding the city, but he's not a member of Detroit Renaissance. It seems as if this is not just a important people in Michigan sort of event. And you know Coleman Young, and you know that he's been trying to get access to Detroit Renaissance, especially because he wants to become mayor and he's going to have to work with them. But he's not had any success getting time, face time. And this is a frustration that you've heard around the campaign office, that he's trying to get access to see what they're doing, to know what they're up to. But he can't get access. And that seems tricky. You know the former mayor most likely had something to do with it because he said something, he let something slip about how, like, you know, Griggs did, like, how can I get access to them? And you know that they've changed the name of their organization after the uprising. You don't know how long they've been around, but they do seem to be... The stories they just showed up, that doesn't seem right to you. That doesn't seem right to you at all. But also considering your longer history here, the former prince did not have Detroit, the old name, under his belt. He was not a member of Detroit Renaissance. You don't recall anybody on the old Primogen Counsel being part of Detroit Renaissance. It does not seem, as far as you know, to be the old Kindred regime controlled organization. They never had access to it. And neither does Coleman Young.
All right. Well, I'll pass it along to the crew, but the more I think about it, the more bothersome that seems.
And that was, you remember, that was a point of frustration for the former prince. Because he's old money, right? He is old money. He has been here since the 1890s. He's been prince since the 1890s. He has a good name. He's a Whitney, right? He is old money. And if anybody should get invited to something that seems like an old money private party, he should be, and he wasn't. And that, Venture don't like that. He was very, very frustrated with that. And that was a very, very frustrating thing for him. I will also say, I'm giving you some information this is information you don't have, but that itself is also information. And what I'll say about that is, You have not heard anything from like important religious figures being invited into Detroit Renaissance or being part of Detroit Renaissance, probably because they're not rich enough. But it doesn't seem, at least let me put it this way, anybody that you know who's like actually really, really faithful and really has a lot of faith, they do not seem to be invited into Detroit Renaissance either. Like there are a couple of like really important bishops and whatnot, right?
Yeah,
And
I've
they
been
don't.
trying to figure out the way in here as well. But the more I think about it, the more absurd this seems because there's no criteria. There's nothing that's clearly defined that gets you in here.
And you're like, well, there's got to be something, right? Whitney
Yeah.
didn't get in, and he's old money. Some of the most important sort of like religious figures are not in. The person who's running for mayor, who was a state senator, is not in. So who gets to be in? And why is it only certain very public figures have their names attached to it? But it's an entire organization, and only 3 or 4 names sort of come up. And they've changed their names, right? And so it's a huge amount of money, right? It's a huge amount of money that they are bragging about rebuilding Detroit completely. And that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kasim, I'm gonna give you some stuff. I'll give you more stuff. First off, streetwise is the skill you went with.
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell you this. Many of the places that got burned in the uprising happen to be things that now are going to be part of Detroit Renaissance. A lot of the people who got pushed out, and there's a lot of white flight happening, right, on the streets as well. Often to people whose land, they sold their land, they got bought up by Detroit Renaissance to build this hotel. So the uprising happens, but in the aftermath, a lot of the people who leave are people whose land is conveniently needed was completely needed for this project. There are stress has often shot people who didn't want to give up their land. They were criminals, of course, certainly, right? Now, you know that it didn't start that way. That stress did not come in at first. From what you got on the streets, because you've got people who are like just regular folks, there were these homeowners associations. And these homeowners associations were the ones putting really big pressure on people and pushing people for the first couple of years. Stress itself seemed to be mostly hitting, now that you've been thinking about it, vampire and their allies, i.e., a lot of witches, mages, shaman, right? Hitting those places. But in the last couple of years, last year maybe, let's say the last year and a half, they have started moving towards also hitting people who are perhaps speaking out against Detroit Renaissance, because there's been a lot of community uproar. A lot of people on the streets are like, this is terrible, right? We don't want this. How is this going to help? And the whole thing's like, it's going to go and help Detroit. That's the whole rhetoric. It's going to help Detroit. It's going to rebuild Detroit. It's going to revitalize downtown. It's going to make everything good. And they're like, how's that going to help us? And when people have spoken out, they've often, it turns out, been drug dealers maybe, and then been shot. So a number of the sort of street-based opponents to Detroit Renaissance have all been killed. But I will note this hasn't happened except in the last year and a half. Stress seemed to have been primarily targeting, let's just say, regular people in the supernatural. But within the last year or so, they started targeting, let's say, the enemies of Detroit Renaissance as well as magical beings and things like that. You will also note with this that whenever people have been injured working on Detroit Renaissance, because this is like building this huge thing, they are not taken to the hospital where your friend works. They're actually taken outside of downtown to a private hospital. There's a private hospital out in the suburbs. Now, that doesn't make a lot of sense why you would take somebody who just had some kind of accident, in sort of construction accident, all the way out, right? But they do. They don't take them in at all. Also, there have been complaints, you know this from the streets, that it's not particularly diverse or fair in construction hiring. You've heard that who they hire, there's a real hierarchy about who gets hired and who doesn't. People who are just regular folks seem to only be working on bottom floors and never get to go up higher and to taller floors. This is also streetwise. There is a weird amount of security on those construction sites, day and night. There are security guards who are patrolling regularly, even though nothing has been finished. And people you know who are like, look, sometimes people go and strip buildings of like copper, especially when you're really poor. You'll go in, strip wiring, copper, that kind of a stuff. Anybody who's gone in there never comes back out. They end up being found dead, right? That's the word on the street, that you can strip metals from any other place, but you don't go there. You don't go there because you'll end up dead. The security is way too tight in a pretty weird way. Sometimes, to be nice, they hire people from the neighborhood, but they never let them advance in the construction, and they never let them get them past like bottom floors. And they are always only working day shifts, those folks. They never get to sort of be there in the evening. They say that they build all the time. There's always somebody up there building, is what they say, because, well, it's a little bit unclear. Like, the big machines aren't working at night, but there's often activity or lights up there sometimes. They assume it's because people are still working, right? Just because they're a little bit behind schedule. So, you know, they've got to do that. You got a 10. I would say that there have been various, well, I suppose you would get this with a 10. New people have shown up just recently who are not the old people. And this is apparently a new partner, right? This sort of Pentex, this new corporation that seems to have just shown up. But they weren't there before. There have been a couple of people who've come and toured the site with some other high mucky mucks. That's what people, you've got some people who are sort of like winos who hang out. What it seems to you is that this is a particularly dangerous place. Your friend, she said that she did get one of the bodies of somebody who was fished out of the river. And he was not a worker there. He was just like a neighborhood guy. And she did an autopsy on him. And he had mercury in his bloodstream. And she thought that was pretty weird. And she was going to say something about it. Like, not like, oh, I've got lead poisoning, but like there was like mercury in his veins. But then Nichols, when he was still police chief, came in and confiscated the body. said that it was like not really her business. So she's been interested in trying to figure out what's going on, but they just have everything locked down and they take everything out. There's a hospital. It's St. John's. It's out in Grosse Pointe Blank. Now, I will just note that she thinks that's weird because that's a pretty rich person's hospital. So you don't know why you'd have like construction workers who get injured going off to a rich person's hospital out in Grosse Pointe. She thinks that's pretty weird. But what it looks like is that they're building these walls and there are these sweeps of homeless people, many of whom go missing. There's a lot of violence towards anyone who gets too close to that place. There's insane security. There's this brand new company folks, Pentex, who've shown up, sort of touring things. Health-wise, since you did get a 10 and it's health, there have been an increase of people. How would you describe this? Lethargy, like iron deficiencies, like really tired, sort of headaches, people like really low energy, that there are a lot of people around the area who've been sluggish, irritable, more fights, fist fights, just things off in the area and the ring of the downtown part of the city. Streetwise, you could probably get some license plates of important people who've come to visit the dig site, right? Because if you're going with Streetwise, you could get the name of somebody at St. John's, right? Like one of the doctors who like signed off. You got that Nichols took that body away, sent it to St. John's for its autopsy, although she'd already started. And then he took all the records. You could get a couple of the license plates of the fancy cars that come in and out, like the sort of important folks on the top there. Private security. Private security is running that place as well. Although, yes, private security. I'm not lying to you. However, within the last year, some off-duty police officers who are members of the stress unit have also started showing up doing security for Detroit Renaissance. But that is fairly new. It seems as if that is a new element, whatever that is.
Trooper, I've got a question for you.
Absolutely.
One of those license plates that I've seen,
Mm-hmm.
any of them architects? Do we know who's designed this thing?
Yes, there is an official architect who actually apparently just died recently. But there is a public architect without a doubt that you could get their name on. That is easy. But Lottie, I have something to tell you that I don't know if you want to know. Right?
It's a very interesting way to frame that.
Yeah, it's a little interesting, but I'm all ears, unfortunately.
So, John Porter is because you have access to clerks, right? Yes. So John Portman, pardon me, is listed as the principal architect of the Detroit Renaissance Center. And it's supposed to be a five tower rosette. You know, a nice pent 5-tower rosette rising from this common center base. Yeah. It's good times. And it's not supposed to open until 1977, so you've got 4 years before it'll officially be finished. And it's planned to be the world's tallest hotel, which seems to be important. The world's tallest hotel. But here's the thing. John Portman is the architect, officially, 100%. It's just that you have some contacts with the clerks. From what you've heard, Henry Ford II was the one who had the idea. That's what the talk on the street is. 1970, it is said. He was like, oh, I have this idea. It was announced in the news. Business leaders, apparently. And the thing is, you've seen another name. The first phase of construction is going to cost like maybe $1 billion. Maybe. You know what I mean? Like, this is like a huge amount of money. The city within a city, the cylinders, the central tower. But you've seen another name once. Once. And that name was Augustus Woodward as architect. And Augustus Woodward, if you recall from the video we played over the break, was the original architect who, after 1805, said, we should rebuild, we should hold off on rebuilding Detroit after the fire. Please note, let's just go right back. In 1805, Detroit was destroyed by fire. And then Augustus Woodward decided, he said, don't rebuild. We need to make it with these equilateral triangles of 4,000 feet per side with equilateral lines and a rectangular park in the center, and then these circular parks in the corner, and we can build up. And only one got complete fully. And that's the one where the Detroit Renaissance is currently being built. And it's the same name once. Seemed to have been a mistake. That piece of paperwork was recalled and replaced with a John Portman name. But one piece of paperwork, one of your clerk contacts said Augustus Woodward. Your clerk, she remembered it because she thought it was weird, also because it was recalled and then given back with a different name on it. And she thought that was kind of strange. But the other thing you know is that the paperwork was pushed along. All of the wheels were greased. There's a lot of eminent domain, a lot of... This is a massive project. And to get it all passed like that is so quickly it went through. It's a little weird. Paperwork is usually just so much slower. And there's very little oversight. Griggs, of course. Nichols, also quite interested. It seems as if everyone is assuming that Nichols is going to become mayor of Detroit and to continue to oversee this process of building the city within the city and the complete rebuilding of Detroit under John Portman's vision. And dearest, dearest Prince with a 10. Your medical friend said one strange thing. She said, a lot of the folks, you know, on heroin, drugs, there's a lot of people homeless, struggling, having a hard time. And one guy came in. He was really, really having a hard time. He was incoherent. Oh, wait, I don't think I can tell you this without a little bit of this, right? I feel like I should probably have something like this. One fellow, right? Came in incoherent, raving, and he just kept saying one word: technocracy. She didn't know what it meant. She figured he was trying to say technology, but was just really strung out. Yeah. Or a 10. That's what he said. He later died. She went around, he was fine, he was detoxing, but when she came back to find her rounds, he was dead. His heart just stopped, but she didn't think it should have. Roscoe pipes up. Hey! Are we gonna share information?
Well,
'Cause I've got information.
Luther talked quite a bit just now about the things he knows. Allow me to discuss what I know.
Wait! Let me tell you what I know. Doesn't anybody want to know what Roscoe knows?
Honestly, Roscoe, I still don't know why you didn't become prince. Like, why didn't you want to become anyway?
Well, you know, I'm too... I can't be tied down. You know what I mean? I'd be free. Anyway, I killed that Vetru prick.
Wait, that was you?
Yeah!
Then
That's
why
it.
did
That's my news.
why did he write Sabat on a notepad?
What?
I take out the notepad because I am carrying it, place it on the table, and it has the words Sabat, all caps, underlined.
I don't know. I thought he was dead. I mean, he was bleeding out pretty bad.
First off, he's a vampire. If bleeding is not enough.
Just oozing. I just can't.
Yeah. Second, this is still. Why did you kill him?
You see it?
That was going to be my question. I mean, he is a Ventru, so I always feel a strong inkling to do that myself, but it seems a bit of a jump.
He insulted the prince and everyone there, and I figured he was some sort of spy or just an asshole.
Can I roll to see if this man is telling the truth?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Insight and wit.
Sure. No.
I'm just going to believe him.
I'm gonna roll. And why not?
Why not? Honestly, you know, life is short.
Life is short.
Well, not for us, but you know.
I'm doing pretty good on the rolls these days.
For now.
One of us.
Ooh.
That's nice.
Okay. Two successes. He's lying about something. He's not being completely honest. But there's something untrue about his story, although it's mostly true. Like there's like a he didn't do it is your vibe. But he knows who did. It's like the vibe you got, like how do I put this? You don't get the sense that he's got evil ulterior motives, that he's like out to double cross you or to get you, that he's being malicious in some way. You get the vibe that he's covering for someone, is more or less the kind of vibe you're getting. So like his story that he did this is a little iffy, but you get the sense he's trying to cover for someone.
I think I looked to Lottie, and I think we both figured it out at the same time. And I'm gonna check something, just for my own sake, because I'm at the crossroads. I take that information and just store it in the back of my head for now.
That's right. I did it. I just went out there and was a little tired of his mouth. Killed him. And
His mouth?
Yep.
What about his mouth? Did he say something?
It's disrespectful.
To who?
Acting like
the dead prince, or?
To you. To all of us here. Just thinking he could go and walk in and be prince. Gonna be prince? Who is that? His attitude?
Roscoe, did he say something about Klaus, maybe?
Well, you know how it is. Sure. Yep. He did. I will note that Roscoe was with you all for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because you were all primogening together. Yep, he did. That's what he said. And I hate Nazis. Yep.
So do we. Thank goodness you were there to do something about it.
Good. And as you know, as Primogen, I feel like I have permission to do such things because he was being a problem. So we're good.
Do you want a formality? Fine. I permit you right of destruction over Sterling. What's his name? There.
Thank you.
That is a proper procedure here, because I was just going. I mean, you know how I feel about you, Roscoe.
It was also self-defense too. It was all of that.
Oh, of course, absolutely. I can imagine it. You are not one for violence, Roscoe. We know.
Nope.
It's last minute. I know. You're absolved, as said by our highness.
Good. All right, I'm done.
Fantastic.
By the way, he does have a childer who is known to be a little... You know. Just a little.
Well, in any case, back to this. So clearly we have a new problem to discuss, a new faction, this technocracy. That is, by the way, what is behind this whole situation.
And Elena nods.
A technocracy is moving in, and that is something we cannot abide. But the main source, the main problem is the geometry, right? So if we get the right architect to switch the plans a little bit, tweak things, this net to collect essence would have a hole wide enough to take advantage of, right?
This is true. If we could somehow gotten such a good jump on us, though, we could perhaps mess with their geometry. Ross goes, why don't we just bomb it?
Because if you bomb it, they'll just build it again.
Oh.
Costs a lot of money. I'm just saying.
To bomb something? Like this?
No.
No,
Not that, Roscoe. I mean, for them to build it back up. Even for very rich people, that's a lot of investment. I'm not saying we should go bombing places. I think that might be a little bit of a drastic decision. I'm just saying destruction in such a way is not something that people easily bounce back from.
True, but this is what Ford we're talking about. I mean, he has the money.
And it may not just be Ford.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. I was just going to say, well, they may have money, they might not necessarily have time, but this is not me endorsing bombs.
I think that's an endorsement of bombs.
No.
Think about it.
Roscoe, we're trying to get Coleman Young elected.
Well, let's think
John
about this.
Nichols is the Law and Order candidate.
Well, this is exactly where I was getting at, Prince. Think about this, right? If we can get Mr. Young elected, we could potentially gunk up the political processes and maybe injunctions and things of that nature. Just make sure, like, build it on ancestral lands or something like that. You can pull up some bullshit that's not necessarily true, but true enough or on the edge of truth that could potentially slow things down while we formulate a long-term plan.
Davis says, hey, though, but I don't think it's not true. That is ancestral land, you know?
I mean, this whole continent is ancestral land.
Well,
But I know what you mean, that the old... My issue is simple. We have, 3 years before this thing is fully constructed, maybe 4, right? In that time, if things are already being siphoned away, what's happening to everything that's being siphoned? We may not be able to wait for
this. Is why I was asking those questions that I was asking. Apparently, this technocracy or what have you is taking your magical mumbo jumbos.
It's not just ours. I mean, Elena, I asked you to talk to Blue Jean. Has it been affecting that side of things as well? Well, there's that. So, 2 for 2.
I will say I have not tried any ceremonies recently, so perhaps it could be affecting me in some way, but the shadows seem to move at my beck and call when I need them. So,
well, we can
it's like a you problem to me.
We can test that as well. Anyone got I don't know, blood or something?
Prince, I have to say that your idea of turning their building against them by doing something with plans seems interesting. Because if they do not realize that there has been more subtle sabotage, Roscoe, then perhaps it's too late once it's built.
I take a look at Roscoe and I say in the most deadpan voice, you're right, maybe they would agree to bomb it themselves.
Then it's not on us if they do it. Sometimes you just need... No.
In any case, this would require getting the architect, the one they're listening to, if not the public one, on board with our plans. And I only know the public name. He seems young.
He has done things seems to be making a name for himself. This, John Portman. Maybe.
I do take a second to relay that information because I forgot the name, but just go ahead and wheedle that in.
Augustus Woodward. You know, the
Yes.
big main city street that runs through Detroit. Just going to put that map back up again. So, I think I've got you all there. Yeah, there we go. So this one street here, the center street of Detroit that separates the east from the west, the one that leads right to Detroit Renaissance, that street, that is Woodward, named after the original architect of the city so long ago, who has long since died, who is absolutely not alive anymore. That would be wrong. With his big mystical triangles.
Well, okay, so first things first, we find out how Woodward is transmitting the plans. Second things second, we bung things up in the middle, right? And third things third, we use their building against them, at the very least, have it be less effective. Which means we need to find Woodward, which probably means finding it probably means finding this public one.
Yes.
Oh, this is getting more complicated by the second.
If you find the public one, he has to be getting the plans from. How can. I don't know if there is a. I don't know a kindred name. If there was a kindred name Woodward, surely he would have been here all along.
And
He would have been in the
surely
court.
Whitney would know him, but Whitney did not, otherwise they'd be involved.
So could he be something else? Besides kindred?
Some creatures can live that long, I've been told. Werewolves cannot.
No. I have heard stories of magical practitioners who keep an essence in a jar, like the Beatles song. Eleanor Rigby, the face in the jar by the door, but who are able to keep their essence separate to live forever. Or at least it's the dream. I have not ever found such a spell yet. But, you said you wanted blood, my prince.
Yes, I wanted to test something.
What sort of blood?
Any.
And she looks over at the Reverend for a moment, and then she sort of pulls out a small vial of blood, and she hands it to the prince while looking at the Reverend. How do I put this? Just to freak him out. Do you know what I mean? Just to freak him out. Clearly, she has done that multiple times with Luther because she finds it funny.
Fucking creep.
Yeah.
That's from me. That's not Luther. He doesn't say that word.
Just hands the blood over to you.
I'm going to do a blood sorcerer roll, but this time instead of for ritual, I'm going to do a straight up power called a taste for blood.
Okay.
Which can help me discover the traits of this blood. It's a level 1.
Okay.
So it's resolve instead of intelligence. Yeah. So difficulty 3 determines the resonance and intensity of blood. If human can identify the blood belongs to a mortal or supernatural creature. For vampire's blood, the relative potency will be revealed. And a critical win reveals if the subject committed diablerie and if their generation if vampire, and what kind of supernatural creature if not vampire or ghoul. The thing is, this is instantaneous, not like a ritual. So let's give it a shot. Difficulty is 3.
I see. All right then. You taste it.
And you crit. And that
6 with a crit.
This is almost instantaneous. There's just like it's like it blooms in your mouth rather than the immediate flash, right? It's like a second and a half. And I'm going to ask you a question before I tell you because this is important to me.
Mhm.
How many people, what sorts of beings have you done this ritual on before? This is a
I've done,
crit,
yeah,
so I need
I've
to
done it
know.
on retainers, also
Mm-hmm.
what I call ghouls. I
Mm-hmm.
had done it on several vampires,
Mm-hmm.
a werewolf,
Mm-hmm.
one mage, though I did not know that at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and some creature I still cannot name. I have no name for it.
I'm going to ask you a question. What did the mage's blood taste like?
Ooh, it had touches of ozone,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the texture, like pop rocks,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
because it catonates in your mouth, so it
Yeah.
pops. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, for your crit, you taste it, and there are two tastes, right? There's the immediate and the secondary, right? There's that sort of like, I talked about how it bloomed,
Mm-hmm.
and the immediate taste is of mercury. And then the mercury fades and the ozone emerges out of it, as if there were something. This is a human mage's blood. It's got that kind of thrill to it, but there's a kind of a decay to it that sort of like leaches mercury. It's a light taste.
Where did you get this?
Well, I have been trying to find uh, a particular mage. Um, Unfortunately, I've not yet found him. Perhaps Della would know. He's a very old mage. Um, he came here some time ago. 100 years, perhaps, ago. A little less. But I have not been able to find him. So I do a bit of favors back and forth. This particular blood comes from someone who owed me a favor. A mage who lives, in Chinatown. Well, no longer Chinatown, it was destroyed, I'm afraid. But the old Chinatown, trying to get one step closer to this mage who has been here since the 1880s or so. And if I can find him, he might be able to tell us a bit more about all of this. But Della, have you seen her? She's been here for a very long time. Perhaps she knows him, or might be able to find him.
This blood is a mage's blood, but it tastes of mercury.
Well, that's strange.
Mercury was found in one of the bodies next to the building. Are you sure you know who this is?
Yes, yes, this is a sort of younger woman from Laos who has been doing practicing. She has been studying here. She needed some of the materials that I have. I gave her some of my materials. She gave me some of hers. But mercury is also called quicksilver,
Yes, it is.
often used in alchemy.
So we're looking for an alchemist?
It's also poisonous.
Well, not to me.
No. But certainly to the water table. I feel as if we might need to move much more quickly. If they are moving, we need to stop them.
Do you know anyone in public works? Any scientists? No, not you. Lottie. You work with faculty at the university, right?
I work with grad students, but I can possibly find my way to a professor.
All we need is someone to test the local water table and the water around the construction site. If it's leaching mercury, we could use that to halt construction. Or at least
Yes.
try to.
Yes. There's a knock on the door. Bao opens up and pokes his head in. He goes, Your Highness, I have got a call. There is a police action that you are needed for.
A police action?
Yes, work called. And it was a colleague called a colleague who called me. They're looking for you.
Where am I supposed to go?
I think you have to go for a briefing at the station. They said that there is something with alcohol, tobacco, firearms, a raid.
If you'll excuse me all, apparently I have to go. In the meantime, Lottie, try and find anything that can lead us to what exactly is happening in the water, what this construction site is doing. Luther, keep up the investigation. Try and see if you can get close to this architect. You're probably the best suited for that kind of thing. Elena, you know what to do. Excuse me. And I walk off. Oh, and Roscoe.
Yeah.
No
Want me to
more
walk you out?
destroying any kindred.
Right. On it. I just couldn't control
You
myself.
or theoretically anyone you may seem close to.
Yes. I mean,
Yes.
absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And then
no destruction.
I
Unless I get
rush
the
out.
go. Right? You, if I get the go ahead. So, who wants to play dominoes? Pulls out a set of dominoes. Anyone? Roll bones? Nope, nope. Okay. That, everyone, is the end of our episode. Right there. It's the end of our episode. I would like you all to say who you are, where we can find you, and give some love. And then let me ask you this question. Oh, by the way, for the record, you all are currently at 16, 26, 29, 33. But we haven't gotten Stella's roll yet. Her intel. Y'all are at 33. I just want to let you know. And yeah. Yeah. So, who are you? Where can we find you? Give some love. And let me ask you, how do you plan on slowing them down next week? We'll start with our Prince Kasim. Hello, Werewolf Feels.
Hello, my name is Nordine Likadir, also known as Werewolf Feels, and that's the name by which you'll find me all over the interwebs. I played your Prince Kasim Al-Khaf today, also known as Caspian Arna, because he's a local detective, just a local police detective, that's all. No princes here. My love will have to go to Prince for being besieged by a bunch of extremely excitable women.
Yeah.
It's just, that's a lot to deal with. And please note, when Kasim mentioned that, he was pointedly saying that so you understand that he has seen you personally being besieged by women with casseroles. Because he needed to see that in person. I am planning on finding and disabling John Nichols's source of power as much as possible, which I think starts with researching more about all of these extra records that have been taken away.
Yep.
And I have some powers that could help with that.
Also, you did get a bunch of information about that from your last roll, not this one, but the one before. And you were researching Nichols. And Nichols himself has been very busy, has been up on the campaign trail. Everything's above board, very much so. Can't find anything on him except.
It's above board now, yeah.
Except. He's running for office now, but you have seen him. It's one of those things where he's got some very public gland hatting, sort of like, meetings and all that kind of stuff. But you have gotten a hold of the name of his assistant, who does a lot of his scheduling. And for, events and whatnot. And one of the things you found is that he has had a couple of donor lunches that are not registered and that he goes to with just some of his former police buddy friends. I mean, they're still police, but he doesn't. There's some secret donor meetings that you have noticed being sort of listed on the books. And they're getting a little bit more frequent. Donor meetings.
I have it written down right here. Donor lunches that aren't donor meetings, not lunches, because they could be dinners.
That's correct. Yes. Sometimes they're dinners, sometimes not. But it's just that, when you're like, make sure the press come to let you know you're going to, and like, but also if there's like when you go to like the Shriners or whatever and have a big, like, even if it's not to the public, there's still a critical mass of people who go with. But tracking when the assistant does not go, right? You've noticed that there are some meetings that Nichols takes with some people.
I'm going to see. Then my next goal is more information gathering. I want to know who is meeting with and why. But that's me.
You can know when the next meeting is if you like. With that role you did.
I'd love to.
Excellent. I will note that. His mysterious meeting. Continue on. You got the love. You said where? Did we say where you can find you?
Yeah. So we can find me.
All right then. In which case, dimples and dice.
Well, hello everyone. I am Prince, also known as Dimples and Dice around the internet, and that is where you can find me doing stuff and things. Dimples and Dice. I do a D&D 5e game based in Wild Beyond the Wishlight called Wayward Revelry every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We're closing out on the wrap up for that show, and then, well, you'll see what else I'll be doing. But it's probably going to be on Rolling These 20s, and it may have some furry creatures in it. I'll just leave it at that. To show love, Vin. I saw Lottie Plotty today.
Oh yeah.
It was called Lottie Plotty. Lottie Plotty was happening today, and it was playing out. And so much love to you for that. As far as what the ref's going to do, he's probably going to ignore most of what the Prince said. So I don't know if that helps, but he's going to definitely look into these Riverfront Samaritans. And for as far as what he's going to do to slow this stuff down, I don't know what would happen if potential gang war happened, if that could potentially cause some problems for people. And you know, we may maybe make that happen in certain places that may have, you know, been placed on some triangular shapes.
Gang war is very interesting. You know what? You know what gang wars do?
Go to war?
They require police response. They require the police to respond.
And if the police are in one place, then they're definitely not in another one.
It keeps, you know, especially if it's like a big gang war, then you got to bring out a lot of people.
Because see, they don't have the money. Everybody's left, so they're not out here patrolling like they used to. I've lived in a city where the cops start to disappear, and those responses are slow. And if something big goes down, you got all of the cops there,
especially during election season. I will tell you, that would be a problem for them.
Cameras in the right space, you might get even more police to show up.
Yeah. I will. Can I give you a spoiler? If you do that, some people are going to get hurt and arrested and all that business, but I will not be able to roll 3 elements against you because one of those elements will be busy.
One of them will be busy.
That is correct. I'm just going to note it.
That was my idea behind this. I figured you'd have to keep somebody tied up.
It's true. It's true. And that would do it. I'm just going to note it. If you can get some gang warfare going on, that will remove one of your 3 folks who are moving against you because they will not be able to. They'll be busy. They will not be able to ignore that days before an election. They just won't be able to. Then.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Oh my god. Anyway, hi, I'm Vin at VinVoxVA on Twitter. I'm a little tabletop performer, still getting played in Vampire, and I'm a voice actor. 5 weeks from now, you'll catch me over on Vio Cologne's channel, Chris. We love him. For season 2 of the Mythic Initiative. We played Monster of the Week, and turns out we were the monster, so we're switching systems. Having a great time. Of course, gotta throw some love to our prince. Nordine, you're killing it. I'm so concerned for you above character. This is not Lottie Plotty. This is me being, wow, you're really judging and like of character and plotting and like having to run the city, quote unquote. And that target is not gonna leave. And just good for you.
Y'all, I am overwhelmed.
You gotta follow me.
I asked for this.
Did I ask for this? Or did Cassim ask? It's just what my character would. I'm gonna stay away now.
For the record,
This is what my character would do.
I just did the rolls for the forces arrayed against you. There are 3 of them who all got to act today, which puts them at 50 versus your 33. Although Della has not rolled yet. And I just had to roll one more group, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the lupine. Bringing you up to 38 versus their 50.
Also, I forgot Lottie's plan to slow them down. They're going to listen to Cassim and possibly tell the students to kind of exaggerate or possibly fudge the results a little to be kind of dangerous.
That's the problem with Cassim. He's not nearly as manipulative as the rest of you. He just isn't.
Yeah. I enjoyed that very
This
much.
this is why the rep thought you'd be a bad prince. You don't know how to fuck with people properly.
I'm just gonna note that the roles you make to do this are going to be representative of the stuff that you do tonight, right? On the 2nd, so they will come into effect on the 3rd. Y'all are going to be I love you all. Y'all are really good. Yeah. I feel like you're going to go and mess up some people's stuff. That's all.
I blame the cat. It's all Morden's fault.
Oh,
I'm an angel.
Morden?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to cry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Very, it's fine. It's fine. I want to make sure I give any shout outs to people who gave us tips or bits today before we clear it. Let's see. What do we have here? We have incoming treats. Void Smoker gave a $25 tip that said, "How can you say no to Domino's?" That's what I want to know, Void. They didn't even play Domino's with Roscoe. I can't believe it. But I will note for the record, yes, it was Roscoe's childer who did that. And he did not want his childer to get in trouble. Because his childer, they left early, right? They were like, that's it, right? And he's like, it was me. I did it. Yep. But again, he was trying to cover for his childer. Because, sometimes Brujah get mad about people who are arrogant. Been true. But I will say this. That does mean that it was not Sabat who killed Sterling.
There's two things, right? Either Sterling thought this person who ran out in front of Sterling is Sabat for some reason, or there's another reason why Sterling wrote the word Sabat there. I don't like either option. I don't.
And I will note, a car, not a cop car, drove by to where Sterling's car and body was supposed to be. Did not find it, and then drove off. And you do have that license plate. Just for the record. You have a couple of license plates. You have license plates from High Mucky to Mucks at the Renaissance Center construction site. The car that was trying to go and figure out, that was looking for the car, that was not picked up by the police just yet. And, got some people to follow up on, if you like. Thank you, everybody, for the tips and bits. And I want to thank especially our sponsors, KY Hawkeye and Will and TW, who are part of our sponsor tier. They help me pay for this cast, which I appreciate very much because I really want to make sure the cast is paid. And I want to thank the audience for being here. I'm really excited because right now we've just hit the halfway mark, and now they know some stuff. There's a huge arcane beacon being built right there where the Detroit Renaissance Center was actually built. Right where I'm just saying, it's right there. It's right there. Right there. City within a city. Super sketch. It's just right there. Anyhow, so I'm excited about it, and I'm really excited to find out what they're gonna do. If Nichols wins, no one will stop that construction in any way or mess with it in any way. So, it's a very important election.
If Nichols wins, he won't be mayor for long.
Can't be out here doing missions like that no more. You're a prince.
I have one ambition, of one purpose. It's to kill John Nichols.
But you just
that
gotta
man
wait.
Is my touchstone. Yeah.
He makes you realize, what it means to be alive by killing him.
Connects me to my mortality, my need for his destruction.
Just instantly lose humanity.
It's Yeah. So next week, it's going to be November the 3rd. We're getting closer. And I suspect we're going to have at least one, but maybe two memoriams next week. I suspect as much. And I just want to remind you all, a memoriam can get you secret information, bonus die on a roll later, can get you all get you stuff if you're like, many years ago I knew a locksmith. You know what I mean. And I'm troopersjp. I almost forgot myself. I'm troopersjp. I have been the storyteller for this game, and we're halfway done. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to find out. We're just getting closer to the election, and all of the technocracies hanging out with their brand new friends. Do you know 5 towers in a rosette? So good, right? Just like a big pentacle of towers. There is nothing sketchy about this at all. And I didn't even have to make it up. I'm so excited. So, okay, I will just note, Nordine was like very concerned we'd have combat because I have maps. No. These maps are even worse than just combat maps. They're existential arcane maps, but, maybe next week. That's it for, you can find me today's what? Tuesday. Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern on this channel. You can find me for the season finale of The Gamblers or Traveler Pirates of Draenix campaign. Let's see how they get to the new system. And then Sunday night at 8 p.m. over at Praxagor the Smaphori, you can find me for Carousel Court, a sort of Southern Gothic soap opera set in the 60s at the moment. And then on Monday at 8:30 p.m. over at Wandering DM, you can find me playing a Humanity 3 vampire with a heart that doesn't really look that great at Humanity 3 in Montreal by night. So this is all the joy and all the love. And thank you, everybody. I'm going to just do a quick check to see if there's anybody we can raid so we can pass love along to others before we go, because you gotta be good. It looks like Gen Con TV is doing Vampire the Masquerade. So let's do that. We're going to go and raid them once our credits are done. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank this cast. And I can't wait to see them mess up some stuff. Oh, is Lindy live?
Lindy's live.
Well, we're going to go to Lindy then, because that's what we're doing. Because Laugh, Love, Lindy makes me laugh, and I love Lindy. So we're going to go and raid Lindy. Thank you, everybody. Take care of yourselves. All of you are the most awesome. Bye, everybody.